More turmoil in the Middle East. Donald Trump says a deal with Iran is close at hand, while Iran says it's rejected a ceasefire proposal. The impact it's having on oil markets.
We have a series of discussions on about another billion-barrel pipeline to the West Coast.
The federal government expresses confidence in a West Coast pipeline, why BC politicians are firing back. And it may be nearly April, but some very winter-like conditions have forced the closure of a stretch of the Coquihalla Highway. Good morning, everyone. It's Thursday, March 26th. Welcome to Your Morning Vancouver. We begin with the latest on the war in the Middle East. Little progress is being reported in efforts to end the war in Iran, with the U.S. and Iran issuing conflicting statements this morning. The death toll from the war in Iran has risen to more than 1,500. 13 U.S. military service members have also been killed. U.S. President Donald Trump has said that a deal to end the war is close at hand. However, Iran says it has dismissed Trump's 15-point ceasefire plan. Iran has effectively closed the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow waterway through which a fifth of the world's oil and natural gas normally passes. Well, Trump posting this morning about the Iranian negotiators, calling them different and strange. He also claims the Iranians are begging the U.S. to make a deal, while publicly stating they are only looking at his proposal. He warns Iran to get serious before it's too late, saying once that happens, there is no turning back and it won't be pretty. Trump also taking another shot at NATO for doing nothing to help with Iran, warning the alliance to never forget this very important point in time. Well, Israel's defense minister saying today that Israel has killed the commander of Iran's Navy, as well as a number of other senior Navy officials. Defense Minister Israel Katz says Ali Reza Tangsiri was directly responsible for blocking the Strait of Hormuz. Meanwhile, the Iranian military fired more missiles into Israel today, with remnants from one striking a neighborhood just outside of Tel Aviv. Well, Canada has officially hit the NATO spending target of 2% GDP that it set in 2014. This is according to data in NATO's annual report. That said, that Canada spent more than $60 billion on defense in 2025. Prime Minister Mark Carney is expected to celebrate the milestone in Hamilton today, touring with a Royal Canadian Navy warship. In 2024, Canada was spending under 1.5 GDP on defense, one of 11 member nations that did not meet NATO obligations. U.S. President Donald Trump has repeatedly demanded that NATO partners significantly boost defense expenditures, as the Trump administration maintains that European allies should assume primary responsibility for defense of the continent. Well, gas prices are creeping back up today after short-lived relief. Prices are averaging around $208.9 a liter this morning. That's up about 3 cents from yesterday. But according to GasWizard.com, we could see another price drop tomorrow. Even with this up and down, prices still remain way above where they've been in recent months. The continued fluctuations being tied to the war in Iran and the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. Well, the federal energy minister says he's confident a new pipeline to the West Coast will be built. The comments come as Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has been pushing for a pipeline through BC and is looking for private sector energy partners to build it. Last year, Alberta and the federal government struck a deal on pursuing a new export pipeline. The memorandum of understanding includes specific deadlines to be reached by April 1st.
We have a series of discussions on about another million-barrel pipeline to the West Coast, and we're heads down working on that, and we're confident we're going to get there.
Well, it's still governments talking about it. There's no proponent, and there's no one who will pay for this, because you pay for pipelines by agreements with people who want to ship oil on those pipelines, and the cost of that would be so prohibitive, it doesn't make economic sense.
Ottawa has announced an agreement in principle with Alberta on methane emissions reductions. It's one of the requirements as part of negotiations for a new pipeline. Well, if you're trying to head out of town, the Coquihalla is shut down in both directions this morning due to heavy snow on the highway. You can see from this video, it is backed up with trucks amid the snowy conditions. Southbound, the highway is closed due to a vehicle incident, but Drive BC says the closure northbound is due to non-compliant commercial vehicles at a mandatory chain-up location. Chains are mandatory for commercial vehicles heading north of Hope and Merritt. No word yet when the road will reopen. Well, police are looking for the driver of an auto transport trailer who didn't stay on scene after striking an overpass in Langley. The car carrier was heading west on Highway 1 when it struck a rail overpass just before 4 p.m. Tuesday. That same rail bridge between Glover Road and 232nd Street has been hit more than a dozen times since 2023. Police say any driver involved in a crash that may have caused property damage is required to report it and are asking the driver to get in touch with highway patrol officers. Well, as police continue the search for a gunman after a deadly shooting in an Abbotsford homeless camp, there are growing questions about the number of camps in that community and their safety. Investigators were back at the encampment yesterday gathering evidence in the killing of a 69-year-old man who lived there. The camp sits on the Whatcom Road Park and Ride, one of 4 encampments on provincially owned land in Abbotsford. An advocate for the homeless says he's been inside the Whatcom camp many times and is not surprised by the most recent violence.
There's a lot of criminal activity going on in this camp, and it's actually very dangerous when the lights go out and it's dark out.
He says the province's housing crisis can only be solved with more detox and treatment facilities for people facing addiction issues. Meanwhile, the Cole Road Park and Ride also has a large encampment that was shut down in November, but there are still campers there. Well, the cost of transit in Metro Vancouver is about to rise. TransLink has approved a 5% fare hike starting July 1st. Adult fares will rise by up to 25 cents, so commuters will have to pay between $3.50 and $6.70 depending on the zone. Monthly passes will range from about $117 to $211. TransLink already increases fares by 4% last year, but says annual hikes will be closer to 2% starting in 2027. Well, the cost of renting a home in Metro Vancouver continues to decline. A new report has found that the average rent for an unfurnished one-bedroom unit has gone down by nearly 11% year over year, which is about $245. The biggest drops were recorded in downtown Vancouver and the West End. West Point Grey and UBC continue to have the highest rental rates in the region, averaging about $2,800 for a one-bedroom. You can get the most for your money in Surrey and the Fraser Valley, where a one-bed in Newton averaged just under $1,500 a month. And turning to entertainment news now, Lord of the Rings director Peter Jackson has unveiled a new writer on the next installment of the franchise, and he's familiar to late-night fans.
We've got a very special partner that we're working with, and you can see for yourself. Hang on. There we go. Hello.
Hi, Peter.
Hey, Stephen. Hi, how are you?
How are you doing?
Good, good.
The Late Show host Stephen Colbert, who is known for being a Tolkien superfan, will co-write and develop a new film in the blockbuster franchise. Colbert says the next installment will be based on parts of Tolkien's The Fellowship of the Rings book that didn't make it into the original movies. Well, you learn something every day. I had no idea. Good morning, Mark. That Stephen Colbert was
good morning.
A big fan of the franchise.
Oh, he's a huge fan. He talks about it a lot on his show, and he's a real aficionado, as we call it, super fan.
I wonder what his version of the film will be like, because I mean he's such a funny guy, and
yeah.
I mean I'm trying to imagine what his writing style will be on a film like this.
That's right. He'll get up on the rock with Gollum and go, "Meanwhile."
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some humor injected in there too. There usually is in the earlier films, but it'll be interesting to see. He's going to have the time for it, so yeah, why not? Why not move from one dream job to another? All right, good morning. Here we are on a Thursday morning, and it's, not a bad start. It is a little chilly. We're sitting at 0 at YVR. It is mainly clear. Wind is out of the southeast at 15 kilometers an hour, and it is going to stay a little bit unsettled today, too. If you take a look at our weather tracker, we will see some cloud building in later, and yes, we'll see the odd shower pop up here and there through the afternoon, and then tomorrow it will stay dry, no green or any color showing up except the gray, which indicates that it'll be a lot of cloud. We're going to call it a mix of sun and cloud, but I think it'll be cloudier once we get into the afternoon. At least that's what our weather tracker is showing us for tomorrow. As for today, it's going to be, like I said, nice start this morning. There'll be a nice mix of sun and cloud, but that cloud will build in this afternoon, and with it comes that chance of showers, and we'll reach highs of about 9, and then partly cloudy tonight with lows at about 6. So there's still a little bit of sun for the weekend. We'll explain that with the 5-day forecast. Got that coming up in about 10 minutes. Carrie?
All righty. Thank you, Mark. Well, we have an update this morning on the border cat that hops back and forth between Canada and the U.S. Residents in the area are pretty protective of this border hopping feline. We'll explain still to come.
The people who donated to this agencies thought that it would go directly to the victims.
His mother was killed and he was injured. Questions about why he hasn't received a penny of the millions donated to the United Way. Your Morning Vancouver is back in a moment. Welcome back, everyone. It is 6:13. A young man who lost his mom in the Lapu-Lapu Day attack last April is speaking out. The violence also left him with life-changing injuries. As he continues to heal, he's also angry about how public donations were distributed. CTV Shannon Patterson has this exclusive report.
11 months ago, Helgi Bjarnason's mom, Vicky, was killed in the Lapu-Lapu Day attack.
I hear her voice sometimes when I'm feeling down. Just what a mom would say to their kid who's struggling.
Bjarnason was also struck by the speeding vehicle, left with a badly broken leg that hasn't fully healed.
I'm at that point where I'm starting to accept that it will never be the same again.
The 27-year-old hasn't returned to his job as an occupational therapist.
The GoFundMe is the only reason I get to live a little normally and not struggle for my day-to-day expenses.
Bjarnason and other Lapu-Lapu victims thought they'd received money from the United Way's Kapwa Strong Fund, which raised nearly $2 million from the public to support those impacted by the attack.
The people who donated to this agencies thought that it would go directly to the victims, but it has not. None of the victims have received this almost $2 million.
Instead, the United Way distributed the funds to other nonprofit organizations.
We are not best set up to support financial contributions to people. We don't have the information. We don't have the skill set to identify what kinds of compensation that would look like. Our role is to support, and the way in which we support is through those caring, trusted nonprofit organizations who are providing support to people who were impacted.
A couple of foundations just messaged me saying if I need any help for therapy, for this and that. I'm like, no. Just distribute the money to the families. Most of us are struggling with groceries, rent, gas, day-to-day expenses.
Lapu-Lapu victims won't be seeing any of the money directly. The last $100,000 of the Kapwa Strong Fund was distributed to a nonprofit this week.
I'm lucky I get to walk, I get to go outside and stuff, but that's not the case for the other victims. And I'm not speaking here just for myself, but for all the people who were affected by Lapu-Lapu.
With the anniversary of the attack now just a month away,
it's scary to think that, oh my God, it's this time of year again. The PTSD has not gone better. I don't want to go to any memorial. I don't want to remember it. I just want to be with family and be there for each other.
They'll gather to remember a loving mom who spent her last moments at a festival with her son, a young man still healing and still grieving. Shannon Patterson, CTV News, Vancouver.
I'm a very active person.
Well, a UBC professor is calling on Ottawa to adjust the old age security payments in the hopes it can help Canada dig out of its deficit. Professor Paul Kershaw says under the current rules, the income threshold for phasing out OAS benefits is so high that retired couples with household incomes of $185,000 can still receive the full $18,000 subsidy. Kershaw believes if the number was reduced to $81,000, it would save the country nearly $13 billion.
That's a huge amount of savings, and that's enough to eliminate seniors' poverty by adding an extra $5,000 for every poor senior to live them above the official poverty measure, and leave large sums of money left over to double what we're investing in housing, double what we're doing for post-secondary, increasing childcare by 50%, and helping to tackle youth unemployment.
Polling from Research Co. found 3/4 of Canadians support reform, including 3 in 4 who are retirement age. Well, there are some new developments in the aftermath of the deadly runway crash involving an Air Canada flight in New York. We'll have the latest on the investigation as we hear from more passengers who were on board that plane. That is still to come. But first, we will take you to Japan, where we have an update on Punch the monkey, who went viral for his plush toy companion. Turns out he's got a new friend. We're back in a moment. Welcome back. He went viral for toting a stuffed animal wherever he went, but now Punch the monkey has made a real friend. Officials at Japan's Ikichawa City Zoo confirmed the plushie was a comfort device of sorts for Punch, who was abandoned by his mom and then later bullied by his enclosure mates. But now the zoo says the 7-month-old is finally fitting in, hugging and playing with others. And he has been seen clinging to what the zoo calls his new best friend, another macaque monkey named Mo. So Mo and Punch, best of friends. I don't know what happened to the plushie toy. Did he ditch the plushie?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
see ya, we don't need you anymore.
Well, the plushie wasn't doing anything, right? Just kind of, sitting there. But I think it filled the need, and it's nice that he found a real friend.
Yeah, and it's funny because that plushie was sold at IKEA, and apparently they sold out of those those plushies because they were so popular.
Yeah. So you've got Punch and Mo. All you need is another one named Larry, and you've got a modern version of the Three Stooges.
Okay,
right?
Good idea.
That's right, the shenanigans. Okay, doing that. All right, let's get a look at our weather. Yes, it's still going to be a little bit unsettled, and we did talk about this too, that the Coquihalla between Hope and Merritt, both lanes north and southbound are closed, and there is a snowfall warning up there too, because not only all the snow that they did get, which caused all that havoc, but they're expecting it to continue this morning, an additional 25 to 35 centimeters of snow. So take a pass on the Coquihalla if you have to get into the interior. It's sitting at the freezing point right now at YVR. Generally clear. We've got a little bit of cloud around too, but we will see more cloud building in as the day goes on. And with that cloud comes a chance of maybe a couple of isolated showers or so through the afternoon. The evening it'll start to dry out a little bit, and then tomorrow it'll be a mix of sun and cloud to start, much like today, but then more cloud as we get into the afternoon. But it is going to stay dry. We see no other colors except that cloud cover on the storm tracker. So that's some good news. Port Hardy will see showers today, and 7 it'll be showers, maybe some mixed flurries too at times through Campbell River and Comox. Nanaimo will see showers as well. Chance of showers out at Port Alberni, showers for Tofino, and a nice day in Victoria, mainly sunny today with highs of 9. Sunshine Coast, you'll see a chance of showers too. Also up through Squamish, Whistler, you could see a chance of flurries, 2 degrees there. And for the lower mainland, we've got more cloud building in today with a chance of showers, and temperatures will top out about 8-9 degrees. Here's our 5 days. So tomorrow, much the same thing, sun and cloud, but it gets cloudier as the day goes on. And then Saturday, we'll have a nice mix of sun and cloud too, with the showers back on Sunday, and a chance of showers rolling back in on Monday. Carrie?
All right, so not a bad weekend then.
It's okay. 50-50.
It's okay.
Yep.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Well, an update now on Louis the Canadian cat, who has a habit of jumping the border and landing in the United States. So neighbors on Zero Avenue have put up a sign reminding drivers that this is Louis's turf and they need to slow down so he can cross safely. One side is South Surrey, the other is Blaine, and nobody is supposed to cross over. But Louis just doesn't care and ignores border guards by making illegal trips over the international line almost daily. Meanwhile, the man behind the cat's new sign and the figurine holding it is becoming a well-known person himself. CTV's St. John Alexander explains why.
Officially a workshop, but Bob Christie calls it the play zone.
Okay, I'll give a nice big smile.
Where buckets of wood pieces.
I'm just looking for a nose.
No two alike, but every one a gem.
We'll grab a set of eyeballs here. Try these eyeballs.
Bond to become stumpies.
I just have stumps or pieces of wood that I glue and screw together. That's it.
Far from it, they are now avid ski bums at the Triple Black Diamond Resort, adoring crowds and daredevils brought to life by what's been thrown to the ground.
Windstorms blow down, I pick stuff up and make these guys.
All of it inspired decades ago by a figurine Christy spotted on a vending machine.
It just burnt into my brain, this little wooden guy. And I think I went, man, I could build one of those, I think.
Well, he proved himself right during the pandemic, creating a cast of hundreds, at first taking center stage in what he calls the secret garden.
It started just, okay, let's do different characters and let's make something else. Let's make a band.
The lead guitar player and his girlfriend, watched over by the stage manager. None of them with names because it just got too confusing, but each unquestionably with their own personalities. Now, his wife is wondering who's moving in next, and his kids, well, they're not so sure what's going on with Dad.
Well, because I put them around the yard and it's kind of like, it's not, you don't do that.
For the most part, Christy doesn't sell any of his gang. They are his heart and soul, and has no plans to stop the village from growing.
I don't think I'll ever stop. As long as there's trees that blow down, I'm making stumpies.
As he puts it, throw on a set of eyes and a mouth, and it makes you smile. St. John Alexander, CTV News, Surrey.
Wow, I'm in awe of that. He doesn't sell them. So he's just doing it for fun.
Truly a labor of love for him,
it
too.
really is.
And I like how he can distinguish the little stumps or pieces of wood, saying, oh, here's some eyeballs. Oh, here's an elbow.
Right, you see body parts.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine if you stumbled into the woods around his house where he has all those figures, you didn't know that those things were there, and be like, what is going on? But he's obviously very talented.
Oh, I didn't know you had company. Sorry.
That's pretty wild. Well, good on him. Well, some of the most iconic and recognizable movie costumes are now up for grabs. We'll tell you about the pop culture items from films dating back decades that would sure to be a conversation piece in your living room. We'll have that ahead. Plus,
someone needs to do the right thing. We are in agony.
Savannah Guthrie makes her first television appearance since the disappearance of her mother. The new appeal for help. And the U.S. and Iran issue conflicting statements on the status of a deal to end a conflict that has gripped the Middle East. So where do both sides go from here? Your top stories are next. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We begin in New York City, where the wreckage of the Air Canada plane that collided with a fire truck at LaGuardia Airport this week has been removed from the runway. Officials at LaGuardia say with the removal of both the plane and truck, they're reviewing the condition of the runway to make sure it meets FAA regulations. A spokesperson for the Port Authority hopes to have the runway opened by tomorrow morning. Sunday's crash killed both pilots. Roughly 40 people were treated at area hospitals for a range of injuries. 4 remain in hospital. Meanwhile, Air Canada's CEO is now apologizing for the way he expressed his condolences following the crash. In a video message, Michael Rousseau provided an update on the crash in English only, except for 2 words. He was swiftly criticized by politicians across the country, and he's also been summoned to the House Official Languages Committee. This morning, Rousseau released a statement. It read, quote, "Despite many lessons over several years, unfortunately, I am still unable to express myself adequately in French. I sincerely apologize for this, but I am continuing my efforts to improve." A passenger on the flight is describing what it was like to be on board.
All of a sudden, it was just this really loud bang, and everybody's head just basically hit the seat in front of them. And in that moment, it was chaos and panic. I mean, this plane immediately felt like there was no one in control.
Jack Cabot says he was one of the first to get off the plane using the emergency exit. And when he did and saw the damage, he says he felt lucky to be alive. Cabot says even though it was chaotic and scary, there was a sense of community among the passengers, with everyone helping one another. Passengers also praised the pilots, saying the brakes were hit suddenly when they landed, which they say likely ended up saving more lives. Well, it's taken a while, but Canada has officially hit the NATO spending target of 2% GDP. The goal was set back in 2014. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte says 2025 is the first year all allies met the agreed-upon defense spending target as Canada and Europe continue to take security into their own hands.
In 2025, for the first time, all allies met the goal agreed in 2014 to invest at least 2% of their GDP on defense. And many went much further. In fact, we saw 20% increase in what Europe and Canada spent on defense in 2025 as compared with 2024.
NATO's annual report says Canada spent more than $60 billion on defense in 2025. Back in June, Prime Minister Mark Carney announced that allies agreed to a new defense pledge of investing 5% of annual GDP by 2035. Well, to the latest now in the war in Iran. Iran says it has rejected a U.S. peace plan, but President Donald Trump claims Iranian leadership is eager to make a deal to end the war and that negotiations are ongoing. ABC's Rachel Scott has more.
Overnight, President Trump still insisting Iran is negotiating an end to the war, even as the country flatly rejects the administration's plan to do so.
They are negotiating, by the way, and they want to make a deal so badly, but they're afraid to say it, because they figure they'll be killed by their own people. They're also afraid they'll be killed by us.
Sources say the two countries have been trading messages through Pakistan, but Iran's foreign minister maintains that negotiations are not taking place. An Iranian military spokesperson sarcastically asking if Americans were negotiating with yourselves. The White House now upping the pressure to get Iran to come to the table, threatening to strike again if no deal is made. A month into this war, the president has refused to rule out boots on the ground. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle uneasy about the prospect.
My hope is that we do not have boots on the ground.
On Capitol Hill, Republicans leaving a classified briefing with the Pentagon frustrated. Congresswoman Nancy Mace saying the military objectives outlined in that briefing were not the same as the justifications given to the American public for the war.
I will not send South Carolina's sons and daughters to war to die for the price of oil. I just will not do it.
Rachel Scott, ABC News, Washington.
Well, ousted Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is expected to appear in court in New York today. It comes as he seeks to have his drug trafficking charges thrown out. Maduro and his wife have each pleaded not guilty to charges that include narco-terrorism conspiracy. The two are currently in jail in Brooklyn. They've asked a judge to dismiss the charges, arguing their inability to rely on public funds from Venezuela to cover their legal fees is interfering with their right to choose their own lawyer. U.S. Special Forces captured Maduro and his wife in a raid in Caracas January 3rd and flew them to New York to face drug trafficking charges. Well, Savannah Guthrie has made her first television appearance since the disappearance of her 84-year-old mother.
Someone needs to do the right thing. We are in agony.
In an emotional interview, the Today Show host appealed to those with information to come forward and help with the investigation into the disappearance of her mother, Nancy. Authorities believe Nancy was kidnapped from her Arizona home on February 1st. Well, Meta and Google are both planning to appeal after a jury decided they intentionally built addictive social media platforms.
We respectfully disagree with the verdict and will appeal.
There are so many families who've been tragically hurt through the addiction of social media.
The court found Meta and YouTube liable and negligent in this landmark trial. A young woman identified only as Kaylee was behind the first of its kind lawsuit. She sued over her use of the social media platform, saying it led to anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts. The jury found the companies negligent for designing their apps to be addictive, awarding Kaylee millions of dollars in financial damages. The ruling comes one day after a New Mexico jury also found Meta liable and negligent for failing to safeguard users of its apps from child predators. We have a recall to tell you about this morning involving milk that may contain pieces of glass. The recall covers some milk products sold under the Farmers, Natural, and Cabon brands. These are 2-liter cartons. You can see them on your screen here. They are on shelves across the country. The list of affected products is on the Canadian Food Inspection Agency website. The CFIA says it is investigating and more products could be added to the recall. Well, if you're hoping to get your hands on some movie history, here's your chance. More than 1,500 movie and pop culture items are now up for auction in Los Angeles, including a piece from the Black Panther franchise. In addition to a stunt helmet from the 2018 film, the prop store's spring entertainment auction will also include a Maximus Arena helmet and a mask from Gladiator. And there's this, a light-up C-3PO head from Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back. It's also going up for grabs, along with a screen-matched Wilson volleyball, you saw it there, from Castaway, and a harpoon gun from Jaws. My goodness, a real range of items here. You've got to be careful if you get some of those into your house.
Yeah, there's a lot to choose from. I was trying to think of which one I would choose, but
I want to go for that C-3PO head because I think you could like make it into a lamp. You know, you can just have it; it'd be functional.
Yeah,
like the Gladiator mask. I mean, where am I going to wear that?
Turn that on in the middle of a conversation. What? C-3PO's here, so I think any James Bond gadget for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if those are part of the auction. I'm sure there's probably something, though.
Well, they'll find something. Or how about a leftover batarang, right, from Batman? You know, the
right, yeah.
Boomerangs used to be, and they always had the magical that knock out 6 bad guys and come back in his hand.
Bam.
Just like that. Yeah. That'll come in handy sometimes to clear the line at the shopping center, that's for sure. All right, let's get a look at our weather here on this Thursday morning. It's still a little chilly. It's 0 right now at YVR. Wind is southeast at 15 kilometers an hour. And there's just a little bit of cloud around, too, but there will be more coming later today. And with that cloud, there's a chance of a shower or two popping up. Nothing too organized, just an isolated spots of showers. And that will continue through tonight. Tomorrow, we start off with a mix of sun and cloud again, but it will start to cloud up as we get into the afternoon, or the cloud will stay fairly consistent, but should stay dry. No rain or any other colors showing up. So we'll see sun and cloud this morning. It'll slowly warm up to about 9 later this afternoon, but there is a chance of showers building in, along with more cloud, and we're in for a partly cloudy evening as well. We'll have more details with the 5-day. Also talk about that snowfall warning and conditions on the Coquihalla. That's coming up in about 10 minutes. Carrie.
All right. Thanks for that, Mark. Well, are extortion cases in the Lower Mainland on the decline? We're going to learn about a tactic that could be intercepting those who are most vulnerable to a life of crime. Coming up in our next half hour. You're watching Your Morning Vancouver. We're back in a moment. Welcome back, everyone. For the first time in more than 25 years, Ottawa is reviewing its salmon allocation policy after a landmark court ruling. Now, some are warning the changes could hit BC's fishing tourism industry hard. CTV's Kevin Chirac has more.
Fishing guide Dean Work is preparing for new rules on catching salmon.
That's a really big concern.
The Department of Fisheries and Oceans is reviewing its salmon allocation policy following a 2018 court ruling that found the policy unlawfully prioritized recreational fishing over First Nations fishing rights. Changes being considered could shift priority for Chinook and coho salmon toward First Nations rights-based fisheries, though no changes are currently in effect.
So what that creates is immense uncertainty within people wanting to book lodges, book a salmon trip. And typically the two most harvested fish, both tidal and inland and wanted for people to eat, typically is coho and Chinook.
Work recently traveled to Ottawa to campaign for the industry, meeting with government officials, including Conservative MP and fisheries critic Mel Arnold.
That's $1.3 billion to the provincial economy through recreational fishery that could, a good chunk of that could be at risk.
First Nations leaders say the review is about bringing federal policy in line with the law.
These are constitutional rights that we have.
Judith Sayers says recreational fishing is not being cut out and believes there's enough fish to go around.
Well, the recreation fishery are trying to say that they're being cut out, and it's not true. They still have a right in the fishery. They have, not a right, but they have a privilege in the fishery. It's just a matter of how that allocation is divided up by DFO.
Back on the water, Work says the industry could be heading into rocky waters.
This could put the recreational angling in British Columbia for Chinook and Coho on its knees.
The DFO declined an interview request, saying the review is ongoing. And Fisheries Minister Joanne Thompson did not respond to our request for comment by deadline. Kevin Chirac, CTV News, Chilliwack.
Well, drivers in Metro Vancouver can now fill up for about $208.9 a litre this morning in what has been an up and down week. Prices have been rising dramatically since the war in Iran began. Joining us this morning to discuss this is gas analyst Patrick DeHaan. Good morning, Patrick. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So we have just seen a real seesaw at the pumps this week with prices going up and down, back up again. Can we expect more of that in the near future, and how high or low could they go?
Yeah, certainly we could expect more of that. The markets are trying to digest what's happening in the Middle East, happening with potential talks between the U.S. and Iran. The president of the United States said to be losing his patience a bit, forcing or pushing for negotiators to find a deal. But we certainly could see a re-escalation, and that could push oil prices up or down depending on what the situation looks like. To your point, Monday saw oil plummet. Tuesday, oil prices surged. Wednesday, we saw a plummet. And now again today, this morning, we're up another 4.5%. And that has put gas prices in a bit of a limbo. All of it really is looking at the Strait of Hormuz, what the chances are that that would reopen. Negotiations may be a good sign that that could come soon, but a lot of that is still up in the air, and there's still the possibility that if negotiations don't go well, President Trump could escalate the situation again and even send troops into Iran. So a lot that the market is trying to parse out, and you and I are watching that in the price of oil swinging wildly as the market tries to sort out what's possible and what might not be possible.
Here in BC, though, we do watch what the other gas prices are like across the country, and we do have some of the highest prices in the country. Why are we paying more than other Canadian provinces right now?
Well, a lot of it in Vancouver, specifically the transit tax, but the west coast of Canada and the United States are all in the same boat. 2 refineries in California have shut down in the last 6 months, and that has really impacted prices on the entire west coast. The last refinery to shut down was just weeks ago in Benicia, California. That's in Northern California. These refineries supply the entire west coast of both Canada and the United States, and there's simply not enough refining capacity. The other problem now is not enough product is flowing from the prairies into Vancouver. Of course, the TMX pipeline is maxed out, but Vancouver is much more subject to the global market right now because of the Strait of Hormuz. Much of the oil and refined products on the west coast can be easily exported. That's pushing up prices more in the coastal regions. Both Canada's west coast and the Maritimes and the east coast are seeing prices higher because it's quite simple. Refineries can export that product to a very hungry global market right now, and that is elevating prices.
Well, in the meantime, we'll just have to pay it if we want to fill up our gas tanks. That's Patrick DeHaan with Gas Buddy joining us this morning. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
All right, it's 6:48 here on Your Morning Vancouver. Well, the International Auto Show is back at the Vancouver Convention Centre. Still to come, we'll have a live check-in with Mona, who is down there. She's taking in the sights and sounds of the event, maybe getting into a car or two. We'll check in with her coming up after the break. In 2016, this Billy Joel hit was selected for preservation in the National Recording Registry for its cultural significance. Way to go, Piano Man.
Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight. Well, we're all in the mood for a melody, and you got us feeling all right.
Time now for your milestones. First up this morning, happy 8th birthday to Ridley with lots of love from Nana and Grandpa.
Great smile, Ridley. Happy 4th birthday to Danielle. Love from Daddy, Mommy, Kalia, and the whole entire family.
Aw. Happy birthday to Carlina. Wishing you an amazing year ahead. We love you to the moon. Love from Isla and Anthony.
And a happy 50th birthday to Paulo Lozandro. Lots of love from your daughters and your wife.
Wow, what a beautiful family photo.
Nice.
Send us your milestones to bcmilestones@ctv.ca.
All right, here's our picture from Grouse Mountain, looking out on, well, no snow, no rain to talk about, too. A little bit of cloud, some blue sky in there, too, and we'll see a little bit of that through the morning. But it is going to be a little cool, and we do have the snowfall warning to tell you about, and the issues on the Coquihalla Highway between Hope and Merritt. Both north and southbound lanes are closed. Heavy snow does continue this morning. They're going to get more, 25 to 35 centimeters more than what's already fallen. So, best to say that, yeah, you're not going to go anywhere in Coquihalla today, or at least this morning anyway. 0 at YVR. It's clear for the most part. Wind is in the southeast at 15 kilometers an hour. We will see more cloud building in, and as we do through the afternoon, that ramps up the chance of a couple of isolated showers as we head through the day. Tomorrow, we'll start off with sun and cloud, but it does get cloudier as we get into the afternoon. But there's no snow or rain or anything like that coming our way after that. There is showers today up in Port Hardy. There's also showers and wet flurries possible through Campbell River, Comox. Nanaimo will have a chance of showers. Port Alberni looking at showers as well, as you will out at Tofino. Look at a nice day in Victoria, mainly sunny with highs of 9. Sunshine Coast. There's a little bit of that, but a chance of showers as well. 7 in Powell River and Sechelt. 7 up through Squamish with showers, and Whistler, chance of flurries and 2 degrees. And here for the lower mainland, we'll see more cloud and a chance of showers into the afternoon, and temperatures will stay at around 9 degrees. Take a look at our 5 days. So tomorrow, there's that mix of sun and cloud, but cloudier as the day goes on too. Same thing through Saturday, and then Sunday and Monday. The showers are back, but maybe a little more sun on Monday, and temperatures up to about 10. Carrie.
Thanks for that. Well, start your engines. The Vancouver International Auto Show is back with jaw-dropping supercars, collector vehicles, and test drive experiences. Community host Mona Mahmood joins us now live with a closer look at what car enthusiasts and families in the market can expect from this year's show. Good morning, Mona. I'm so glad to see you're having fun down there.
Good morning, Carrie. That's right. How good do I look in orange? I never thought that it could be my color, but for this vehicle, I think it could be. Now, we are back here at the Vancouver Auto Show, which runs through Sunday. Over 300,000 square footage of space here at the Vancouver Convention Center, and it was all sold out.
It was sold out the earliest ever.
Okay, well, I'm excited to be speaking about this today with you, Eric, because there's lots to take in. This is our 3rd year coming back, but I've really noticed that this year feels different. Why is that?
It does. Last year, we broke every single record, and we knew we had the momentum to do something special. We've seen the return of more manufacturers like BMW Canada, Audi Canada, and even the return of Honda. We've got makes and models from over 30 manufacturers, the largest display that we've had in over a decade.
Pretty incredible stuff. Now, obviously, when you come in here, there's a lot of cars that are super aspirational. This is how I like to do my manifesting in the morning, starting off at the auto show. But there's also a lot of family-friendly vehicles, electric vehicles. You have a test drive experience. What can people take in while they're here?
Well, the one thing that everybody seems to be asking for is the test drive experience. And we've got over 50 vehicles, and we're hoping to execute 6,000 test drives this year.
Pretty incredible stuff. Now, when folks walk through the doors, what are some of the questions that they usually ask? What are some of the things they can do while they're in here, aside from taking in these incredible vehicles?
Well, the best part of being at the auto show is that you have the option to shop, compare, and then pick the vehicle that best suits your family's lifestyle. And we have entry-level market, we have mid-level market, all the way up to the super aspirational supercars.
Pretty incredible. Now, this year you have a broader brand lineup. Over there, I see a car. What is that called?
That is the Corvette CX Concept, a one-of-one in the world.
Pretty cool. And we're not showing it to you right now because we're going to show it to you coming up next hour. So you have to stay tuned if you want to see that one-of-a-kind car coming up next hour here at the Vancouver Auto Show. We're going to stick around with you guys, take in this incredible lineup. How many cars would you say are in this building right now?
Well over 200.
And how much are they worth?
Millions and millions.
Millions and millions of dollars. So, Carrie, I'll throw that back to you. I'm right where I should be right now.
Oh, my gosh. Absolutely. I think I should be down there with you. I can see myself in almost all of those cars that you showed, Mona.
Right?
Yes.
I think green is your color, Carrie.
I think it is, too. All right. We'll check back with you the next hour. Thanks, Mona. Well, some young scientists are ready for launch. Still to come, how some lucky students are sending yeast to the edge of space with the help of NASA, and why. Also, Canada officially hits a NATO defense spending target set more than a decade ago as Trump continues to criticize the alliance. What we're learning about a bump in funding. And fire in Mount Pleasant has torn through one of Vancouver's oldest buildings. We're back in a moment with your top stories. We are tracking the damage done by a fire that broke out at a heritage home in Vancouver's Mount Pleasant neighborhood. We'll take you there live with the latest. Also, after more than a decade of plotting progress, Canada finally hits the NATO spending target of 2% GDP. So what was the overall price tag?
We have a series of discussions around about another million-barrel pipeline to the West Coast.
The federal government expresses confidence in a West Coast pipeline. Why BC politicians are firing back. Good morning, everyone. It's Thursday, March 26. Welcome to Your Morning Vancouver. I'm Carrie Adams. We begin in Vancouver's Mount Pleasant neighborhood, where fire has torn through a prominent and very old building. CTV's Yasmin Gandum joins us live now near Broadway and Main Street with more on this. Good morning, Yasmin. The fire broke out late last night in a building that's quite well known in the area. What can you tell us?
Good morning, Carrie. Yes, that's right. The fire happened just after 8 last night at the building behind me. The building, as you mentioned, one of the oldest in Vancouver. It's home to the old Depensier house, which was built in the 1980s. I want to take you behind me here to take a look at some of the damage that we can see specifically at that third level of the building. And I want to take you into some of the work that was being done last night. Take a listen. Crews were busy dousing the burnt three-story building with water hoses as wispy white smoke poured out of the roof. You can see the upper portion of the house had blackened wood due to the fire. An Italian restaurant, Osteria Auto, was open just last year downstairs near the intersection of Broadway and Main Street. The fire also led to road closures in the area on Wednesday night, although those have now reopened. Now, we have reached out to Vancouver Fire as well as emergency services for more information on this blaze, as well as if anyone was displaced and those sorts of details. We will keep you updated throughout the morning on this as well. Carrie?
Yeah, that house built in the 1890s. Wow, very old building. Yasmin Gandum joining us. Thank you. Well, Canada has officially hit the NATO spending target of 2% GDP that it set in 2014. This, according to data in NATO's annual report that said Canada spent more than $60 billion on defense in 2025. Prime Minister Mark Carney is expected to celebrate this milestone in Hamilton today, touring with the Royal Canadian Navy warship. In 2024, Canada was spending under 1.5 GDP on defense, one of 11 member nations that did not meet NATO obligations. U.S. President Donald Trump has repeatedly demanded that NATO partners significantly boost defense expenditures as the Trump administration maintains that European allies should assume primary responsibility for defense of the continent. Well, gas prices are creeping back up today after short-lived relief. Prices are averaging around $208.9 a liter this morning. That's up about 3 cents from yesterday. Experts predict the seesaw ride at the pump will likely continue.
The markets are trying to digest what's happening in the Middle East, happening with potential talks between the U.S. and Iran. The president of the United States said to be losing his patience a bit, forcing or pushing for negotiators to find a deal. But we certainly could see a re-escalation, and that could push oil prices up or down, depending on what the situation looks like.
According to GasWizard.com, we could see another price drop tomorrow, but even with this up and down, prices still remain way above where they've been in recent months. The continued fluctuation is being tied to the war in Iran and the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. Well, the federal energy minister says he is confident a new pipeline to the West Coast will be built. The comments come as Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has been pushing for a pipeline through BC and is looking for private sector energy partners to build it. Last year, Alberta and the federal government struck a deal on pursuing a new export pipeline. The memorandum of understanding includes specific deadlines to be reached by April 1st.
We have a series of discussions going on about another 1 million barrel pipeline to the West Coast, and we're heads down working on that, and we're confident we're going to get there.
Well, it's still government's talking about it. There's no proponent, and there's no one who will pay for this, because you pay for pipelines by agreements with people who want to ship oil on those pipelines, and the cost of that would be so prohibitive, it doesn't make economic sense.
Ottawa has announced an agreement in principle with Alberta on methane emissions reductions. It is one of the requirements as part of negotiations for a new pipeline. Well, if you're trying to head out of town, the Coquihalla is shut down in both directions this morning due to heavy snow on the highway. You can see the road really backed up with trucks and snowy conditions. Southbound, the highway is closed due to a vehicle incident, but Drive BC says the closure northbound is due to non-compliant commercial vehicles at a mandatory chain-up location. Chains are mandatory for commercial vehicles heading north of Hope and Merritt. No word yet when the road will reopen. Well, police are looking for the driver of an auto transport trailer who did not stay on scene after striking an overpass in Langley. The car carrier was heading west on Highway 1 when it struck a rail overpass just before 4 p.m. Tuesday. That same rail bridge between Glover Road and 232nd Street has been hit more than a dozen times since 2023. Police say any driver involved in a crash that may have caused property damage is required to report it and are asking the driver to get in touch with highway patrol officers. Well, as police continue the search for a gunman after a deadly shooting at an Abbotsford homeless camp, there are growing questions about the number of camps in that community and their safety. Investigators were back at the encampment yesterday gathering evidence in the killing of a 69-year-old man who lived there. The camp sits on the Whatcom Road Park and Ride, one of 4 encampments on provincially owned land in Abbotsford. An advocate for the homeless says he's been inside the Whatcom camp many times and is not surprised by the most recent violence.
There's a lot of criminal activity going on in this camp, and it's actually very dangerous when the lights go out and it's dark out.
He says the province's housing crisis can only be solved with more detox and treatment facilities for people facing addiction issues. Meanwhile, the Cole Road Park and Ride has a large encampment that was shut down back in November, but there are still campers there. Well, the cost of transit in Metro Vancouver is about to rise. TransLink has approved a 5% fare hike starting July 1st. Adult fares will rise by up to 25 cents, so commuters will have to pay between $3.50 and $6.70 depending on the zone. Monthly passes will range from about $117 to $211. TransLink already increased fares by 4% last year, but says annual hikes will be closer to 2% starting in 2027. Well, the cost of renting a home in Metro Vancouver continues to decline. A new report has found that the average rent for an unfurnished one-bedroom unit has gone down by nearly 11% year over year, which is about $245. The biggest drops were recorded in downtown Vancouver and the West End. West Point Grey and UBC continue to have the highest rental rates in the region, averaging about $2,800 for a one-bedroom. You can get the most for your money in Surrey and the Fraser Valley, where a one-bedroom in Newton averaged just under $1,500 a month. Well, some lucky students are sending yeast to the edge of space in a balloon flight sponsored by NASA.
They'll be exposed to UV radiation, cold temperatures. Then when it comes back down, then we'll see, that's their question. Will the components that are up in near space affect the yeast?
The experiment is calling Yeast in the Stars. It will be exposed to UV radiation, gases, and extreme cold. So when it comes back down, the question for students will be what components that are up in space affect the yeast. The class will eventually get to present their work during a NASA student showcase. Okay, maybe a movie soon to come, Yeast in Space.
Yeah, Yeast in Space, that's right. Or the one more step to the goal that the astronauts aboard the International Space Station can make their own bread, hopefully.
Well, that's the goal, right? Because who doesn't love bread and butter?
Yeah.
They
not
deserve
that,
it.
Not that stuff in the tube that they get, right? Let's get to your weather. CTV weather brought to you by Chambers Plan, Canada's #1 plan for employee benefits. It's more than just health and dental. Learn more at chamberplan.ca. Starting off with some cloud at the moment, but it's a pretty nice morning. It is a little chilly, though. It's just 1 above right now. Wind is east-southeast at 11 kilometers an hour right now at YVR. We will see more cloud building in today, and with that cloud, there's a chance of seeing a couple of isolated showers. You can tell it's not widespread showers, just sort of pockets of them around the lower mainland. And then tomorrow we'll start with a mix of sun and cloud, not unlike what we're doing today. But it will stay dry for the most part and get a little cloudier once we get into the afternoon. So we'll see glimpses of sun over the weekend, and we'll see a little bit this morning too with that mix of sun and cloud, but more cloud in the afternoon with that chance of showers ramping up, with temperatures getting up to about 9 degrees, and then we're back down to 6 tonight, and it will be partly cloudy after that. We'll tell you more with the 5-day forecast, also talk about the situation on the Coquihalla, and we've got our scenic snapshot all coming up in about 10 minutes.
Oh, that's my favorite part of the morning. Thank
There
you.
go.
Well, artificial intelligence is reshaping our world in many ways. Have you ever used it to build a workout?
Something like AI can give you a fairly well-structured strength training routine, generally show you how to do those exercises, help you make some corrections.
Yeah, experts are weighing in on how personalized workouts from free chatbots are changing the fitness industry. We'll have that a bit later. But first, are extortion cases in the Lower Mainland on the decline? We're going to learn more about a tactic that could be intercepting those who are most vulnerable to a life of crime. That's coming up next.
We have continued to see a decline in the number of extortion reports and the amount of extortion-related violence.
That is Surrey Police Service Chief Norm Lipinski saying there was just 1 extortion-related shooting last month compared to 10 in the month of January. Are we finally seeing the impact of stepped-up enforcement? Joining us to discuss is former Solicitor General Cash Heed. Good morning. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning. My pleasure.
So you heard what the chief was saying there regarding extortion-related violence in the Lower Mainland. We haven't been reporting much on the news. It used to be something that we were talking about almost daily. Are cases on the decline?
Well, they're abating at this current time, but I believe the extortions are still taking place based on the information that I have. We don't have those violent ones, the shootings that are captured on video. We don't have the fires that are taking place. And so those visual parts are not out there right now, but it is still taking place. It has abated for a period of time. We'll see if that picks up again. I think various tactics have resulted in this, and certainly the fact that it's been covered extensively in the media has certainly been part of the reason why it's declining.
Mm-hmm. Do we have an idea of how these extortion gangs are spreading fear in Canada's diaspora communities? How much are they asking for from their targets?
Well, initially when we had more of an organized crime group that was involved in it about 1.5 years ago, there was over $1 million. I know one individual that paid $3 million to the extortionists. Now, those are the more organized ones. And the phenomenon actually moved forward to what we would say more of the local gangsters getting involved in it. And they were looking at lesser amounts. And they had various ways they went about extorting people from that money. And the number one tactic was to increase the violence and the perpetuation of that violence against the family to the extent where the money would be paid. So it varies from hundreds of thousands of dollars, and in one case I know of $5 million. I didn't personally talk to the individual, but I was informed $5 million was paid. But if we look at what is happening with this particular thing, there's so many local thugs that are involved in it now, it could be even lower as we go forward.
Canada Border Services agents have deported up to 35 people accused of being linked to extortion networks. How well is this working, and will this work in deterring would-be extortionists?
Well, it's disappointing to some of the victims, the community members that are behind the threats to them, because they would like these people to be held to account. And I strongly believe these people should be held to account in this country. They committed their crimes on our soil, our sovereign nation, and the fact that now they can just get a trip back to wherever they came from and really no consequence as a result of it. I think we've got to make sure that these people are held to account here. They're kept in custody till their actual trial date, if in fact there's a prima facie case. And then at that point, after they serve their time, if convicted, or even if they're not convicted, that they're sent back to where they came from. I think that's more of an appropriate one. That's more that'll give credibility to law enforcement and our different enforcement agencies in Canada. I think if we, at the outset, just deport them back to their particular country that they came from, it certainly doesn't hold them to account for what they've created in our country.
And final question to you, Cash. A lot of these accused are generally young people recruited between the ages of 20 to 30 years of age. Some of them are international students. Are resources being, targeted to some of these areas to make it less attractive to people who are coming to this country for education of being recruited into this life of crime?
Well, number one is I think we've got to have the facts of what is actually taking place. I think people that did come here on fraudulent purposes, such as getting involved in as an international student or foreign workers, those are the ones that we should have made sure that a investigation was done before they even came to the country to ensure their credentials were legitimate. I think what we've had here is people that have come here for educational purposes certainly have been tarnished with the same brush, and people that are involved in work here have been tarnished with the same breath. But I want to point out, Kerry, that we are only getting the people at the lower end, the low-hanging fruit, the people that are getting paid a few $1,000s here and there to, again, commit violent acts to intimidate people. We're not getting the people that are organizing it or the larger parts of the organizations in it. So I think there's a comprehensive approach that needs to be taken. I think police operations have certainly identified some of that, and we've got to continue down this vein.
Yeah, got to get the big fish. Kashid, thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Well, still to come, after the deadly Air Canada incident in New York, we are tracking air traffic controller shortages in this country.
These jobs are stressful. These jobs are demanding, and they are, you tend to burn out quick.
How big are the staffing shortfalls here in Canada, and what's being done about it?
Something like AI can give you a fairly well-structured strength training routine, generally show you how to do those exercises, help you make some corrections.
How artificial intelligence is reshaping our workout world. We're back in a moment.
All right, good morning. Welcome back to CTV Your Morning Vancouver, 7:23 on this Thursday morning. Let's get right to the snowfall warning, the information you need to know. If you're thinking about taking the Coquihalla, no, think again. It's not going to happen, probably. A snowfall warning is in effect for the Coquihalla between Hope and Merritt, and both the north and southbound lanes are closed from that highway. Heavy snow continues into this morning, created quite a mess yesterday, and they'll get an additional 25 to 35 centimeters today. So rule that out. Anyway, across the rest of the province, Kamloops is not bad. Sun and cloud at 9, 12 in Kelowna. Prince George, you're seeing a few flurries as you are up in Fort St. John, and a mixed precipitation out through Prince Rupert and also Masset and in Bella Coola today. Here across the lower mainland, we'll see more cloud as we get into the afternoon, and with that, chance of seeing a few showers popping up. They're isolated at best, so nothing too widespread. More sun and cloud tomorrow morning, but then it gradually clouds over into the afternoon. So we'll see the sun the early part of the days for both Saturday and Sunday, but it's not going to be a totally sunny weekend, but we'll get some sunshine anyway. Port Hardy will see showers today and 7. It's showers and flurries through Campbell River, Comox, down toward Nanaimo. Also, Tofino seeing showers. Nice in Victoria today, mainly sunny with highs of 9. Pretty good across the Sunshine Coast with a chance of showers. Showers up through Squamish. Whistler will see a few flurries. And here in Metro Vancouver, more cloud with a chance of showers and highs around 8 and 9. On our 5-day, there's sun and cloud for Friday, Saturday, but more cloud when we get to the afternoon. Showers are back on Sunday with a chance of them returning on Monday. Here's our scenic snapshot today. Thank you to David Chewy, who sent this in from sunset tonight, or last night rather, at Lafarge Lake. With a nice mix of colors in there too. You've got the colors in the leaves, and then you've got the color in the sky. And if you've got a colorful scenic snapshot, send it to us at scenicsnapshot@ctv.ca. Carrie.
Wow, I can almost hear the splashing from that fountain.
Yes.
Beautiful. All right, thank you. Okay, it's 7:25 here on Your Morning Vancouver. Artificial intelligence is reshaping how people do a lot of things, and that includes their daily workouts. So can AI fitness improve your routine and save you money? ABC's Becky Worley reports.
Hips, right? There you go. Breathe, breathe. Don't hold your breath. Come down really slow.
Working out with a trainer can transform your fitness. Oh my gosh,
Right.
You're pushing me. I love it. But new AI fitness offerings could bring personalized training to the masses. Let's start with the free AI chatbots like Gemini, Copilot, and ChatGPT. I gave them a prompt with my goals, workout time, and available equipment.
Act as my personal trainer. Help me build strength.
ChatGPT programs a complete workout.
I gotta print this. All right, Bulgarian split squat. Okay. I don't know if I'm doing this right. Oof. Now, obviously ChatGPT can't correct my form, but the price is right. Free.
Now, if you have a wearable device, there are AI options here too.
Apple has Workout Buddy. It goes between all the workouts you initiate on your watch and your headphones. And it'll give you encouragement and tell you what your pacing or distance is.
This is your second run this week. You're crushing it.
And then it does a post-workout summary.
This is built into the Apple Fitness app on your watch.
And it's free.
For Google folks, their AI is the new Fitbit personal health coach. It's a feature in the premium subscription. You talk to it like a human.
I'd like you to build a high-impact interval training workout for me that takes about 30 minutes. I have kettlebells, weights, and resistance bands. Now this is cool. It's got videos showing me how to do each exercise. Very helpful. Oh, last one.
This use of AI feels like a big step forward in home workouts. And these tools may not be perfect, but
If something like AI can give you a fairly well-structured strength training routine, generally show you how to do those exercises, help you make some corrections, they can do it from the comfort of their homes. They don't have to worry about feeling awkward out in public. That's a huge benefit to these AI type trainers.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you are already interested in working out at home, and that would be a good way to get a good routine. Some people, like myself, have a hard time being motivated just at home. So we need like the class environment.
You have to go somewhere, like go to a gym. Yeah, there's one close by to where I live too. So, and I didn't really take any. I haven't done the AI thing yet. I've researched online and shows some exercise. Oh, this will help me. This will help me. Plus, I'm still recovering a little bit, so I can't be bench pressing 500 pounds.
I mean, AI could help you find a routine that would be okay for your recovery.
If you leave out the split level Bulgarian lunges or whatever those were,
pass.
Yeah, I'll pass on
for
that
all of us, actually.
For a while, please. Yeah.
Okay, well, an iconic moment in wildlife filmmaking has inspired a documentary. The story behind the touching bond between Sir David Attenborough and a baby gorilla, and how that baby's family is doing decades later. We'll do a check-in coming up. Also, the U.S. and Iran issue conflicting statements on the status of a deal to end the conflict that's gripped the Middle East. So where do both sides go from here?
A fire breaks out at a building in Mount Pleasant, one of the oldest in Vancouver. We'll have the latest from the scene on Your Morning Vancouver.
morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We begin with a fire that has swept through a Vancouver heritage home, sending smoke into the night sky. CTV's Yasmin Gandam joins us now from the scene, not too far away from Broadway and Main Street. So, Yasmin, this fire happened at one of the oldest buildings in Vancouver. What can you tell us about last night's fire and the building's history?
Good morning, Carrie. Well, I want to start off with some new information. We just received confirmation that no patients were transported to hospital. A primary care ambulance did arrive on the scene last night, but nobody was sent to hospital. Now, again, as you mentioned, the fire happening in a heritage home building, one of the oldest in Vancouver, the Depensier House. It was actually built in the 1890s. Now, I did speak with a resident nearby who tells me that it looks like the fire originated on the 3rd floor. And I want to take you behind me here so you can take a look. You can see significant damage there. And now take a look at some of the work that crews were doing last night. Crews were busy dousing the burnt 3-story building with water hoses as wispy white smoke poured out of the roof. You can see the upper portion of the house had blackened wood due to the fire. An Italian restaurant, Osteria Auto, was open just last year downstairs near the intersection of Broadway and Main Street. The fire also led to road closures in the area, although those have reopened now. Now, the resident that I spoke with also said that the fire melted a power wire, so that caused residents in like 3 or 4 blocks down from the restaurant to lose power last night for several hours. Now, we have reached out to Vancouver Fire as well for more information on this, and we'll keep you updated throughout the morning. Carrie?
Okay, Yasmin Gandam joining us live this morning. Thank you. Well, now to New York City, where the wreckage of the Air Canada plane that collided with a fire truck at LaGuardia Airport this week has been removed from the runway. Officials at LaGuardia say with the removal of both the plane and truck, they are reviewing the condition of the runway now to make sure it meets FAA regulations. A spokesperson for the Port Authority hopes to have the runway reopened by tomorrow morning. Sunday's crash killed both pilots. Roughly 40 people were treated at area hospitals for a range of injuries. 4 remain in hospital. A passenger on board the flight is describing what it was like to be on board.
All of a sudden, it was just this really loud bang, and everybody's head just basically hit the seat in front of them. And in that moment, it was chaos and panic. I mean, this plane immediately felt like there was no one in control.
Jack Cabot says he was one of the first to get off the plane using the emergency exit. When he did and saw the damage, he says he felt lucky to be alive. Cabot says even though it was chaotic and scary, there was a sense of community among the passengers, with everyone helping one another. Passengers are also praising the pilots, saying the brakes were hit suddenly when they landed, which they say likely ended up saving more lives. Well, to the latest now on the war in the Middle East. Little progress is being reported in efforts to end the war in Iran, with the U.S. and Iran issuing conflicting statements this morning. The death toll from the war in Iran has risen to more than 1,500. 13 U.S. military service members have also been killed. U.S. President Donald Trump has said that a deal to end the war is close at hand. However, Iran says it has dismissed Trump's 15-point ceasefire plan. Iran has effectively closed the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow waterway through which a fifth of the world's oil and natural gas normally passes. Trump posting this morning about the Iranian negotiators, calling them different and strange. He also claims the Iranians are begging the U.S. to make a deal, while publicly stating they're only looking at his proposal. He warns Iran to get serious before it's too late, saying once that happens, there is no turning back and it won't be pretty. Trump also taking another shot at NATO for doing nothing to help with Iran, warning the alliance to never forget this very important point in time. Israel's defense minister saying today that Israel has killed the commander of Iran's Navy, as well as a number of other senior Navy officials. Defense Minister Israel Katz says Ali Reza Tangsiri was directly responsible for blocking the Strait of Hormuz. Meanwhile, the Iranian military fired more missiles into Israel today, with remnants from one striking a neighborhood just outside of Tel Aviv. Well, ousted Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is expected to appear in court in New York today. It comes as he seeks to have his drug trafficking charges thrown out. Maduro and his wife have each pleaded not guilty to charges that include narco-terrorism conspiracy. The two are currently in jail in Brooklyn. They have asked a judge to dismiss the charges, arguing their inability to rely on public funds from Venezuela to cover their legal fees is interfering with their right to choose their own lawyer. U.S. Special Forces captured Maduro and his wife in a raid in Caracas January 3rd and flew them to New York to face drug trafficking charges. Well, Savannah Guthrie has made her first television appearance since the disappearance of her 84-year-old mother.
Someone needs to do the right thing. We are in agony.
In an emotional interview, the Today Show host appealed to those with information to come forward and help with the investigation into the disappearance of her mother, Nancy. Authorities believe she was kidnapped from her Arizona home on February 1st. We have a recall to tell you about involving milk that may contain pieces of glass. The recall covers some milk products sold under the Farmers, Natrel, and Kubon brands. These are 2-liter cartons on shelves across the country. The list of affected products is on the Canadian Food Inspection Agency website. The CFIA says it is investigating and more products could be added to the recall. Well, a new documentary is taking viewers behind the scenes of an iconic moment in wildlife filmmaking.
And to my astonishment, they allowed me to approach. I felt a weight on my feet, and I looked down there was little Pablo.
A gorilla story features Sir David Attenborough reflecting on his encounter with a young gorilla in 1976 and how Pablo's direct descendants are doing today. One of his most well-known moments on any show was when Pablo cozied up with Attenborough along with his companions and tried to take off of his shoes. That famous encounter is retold along with the story of Pablo's family, still in Rwanda's Volcanoes National Park. This starts streaming on April 17th. A documentary a lot of people would be really interested in watching. Mark.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. And Sir David Attenborough has done so much to bring public awareness and you know, show everybody the world, you know, that we live in the world of wildlife and everything. And maybe they just wanted the shoes, you know?
Well, I mean, they're David Attenborough's.
That's right.
I could listen to his voice all day.
That's right. And the gorillas going, oh, those Skechers? Here, I'll take those. I'll take those. All right, let's get a look at your weather. CTV Weather brought to you by Chambers Plan, Canada's #1 plan for employee benefits. More than just health and dental. Learn more at chamberplan.ca. We're starting off today with a little bit of cloud, and it will cloud up as the day goes on, too. Let's check our almanac. Today we'll reach a high of 9. Average around this time of year is 12, and last year we hit 14 on the state. On the state in 1941, we set our record 17 degrees. And sunset tonight at 7:34. We will see, though, a mix of sun and cloud through the morning, and then as we get into the afternoon, the cloud starts to build in, and that chance of showers also goes up. Nothing too widespread, just a few isolated showers here and there, and it'll stay partly cloudy through the evening. We will reach a temperature of about 9, so it is going to get a little bit warmer. We've got details with the 5-day forecast coming up soon. Carrie.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Well, they are one of the top teams in the MLS standings, but still facing questions about their future. In our next half hour, why a former player is leading the fight to keep the Whitecaps in Vancouver. Stick around for that.
These jobs are stressful. These jobs are demanding, and they are, you tend to burn out quick.
After the deadly Air Canada incident in New York, we're tracking air traffic controller shortages in Canada. Still to come, how big the staffing shortfall is here and what's being done about it.
Oil is up, markets are down over what some fear may be undue optimism over a potential deal to end the war in Iran. G7 foreign ministers are meeting in France, and Monday, for the first time in 50 years, G7 energy and finance ministers, along with central bankers, will gather to discuss the situation in the Middle East. Representatives from the 3 territories say the need to improve their aging electricity grids has reached a critical level, requiring billions of dollars from the federal government to update. In some cases, simply keep the lights on. During a week in December when the temperature hit -50, Whitehorse saw industrial customers go dark and officials having to decide who might be next. Vacation home prices are expected to grow this year, despite concerns about the economy and global turmoil putting a damper on demand in some parts of the country. A report released Thursday by Royal LePage forecasts the median price of a single-family home in Canada's so-called recreational regions to rise 4% year over year to $604,000. BC is the most expensive at more than $1 million. Those are your morning business headlines. For BNN Bloomberg, I'm Roger Peterson.
The BNN Bloomberg Report is brought to you by IG Private Wealth Management. Does your financial advisor put you at the center?
Well, the tragic Air Canada incident in New York is putting the spotlight on a lack of air traffic controllers, not just in the United States, but also here in Canada as well. So what's being done about it? CTV's Heather Wright reports.
More than 500,000 planes take off and land at major Canadian airports every month. The safe flow of that traffic all managed by air traffic controllers.
Well, we are short. There's no doubt about it.
John Graddick teaches aviation management at McGill University and says there are not enough air traffic controllers working in Canada.
These jobs are stressful. These jobs are demanding, and they are, you tend to burn out quick in this type of job.
Air traffic controllers in the United States are being scrutinized after Sunday's fatal collision between an Air Canada plane and a fire truck at New York's LaGuardia Airport. The U.S. National Transportation Safety Board says it's too early in its investigation to determine exactly what happened. NAV Canada, which certifies and hires air traffic personnel in Canada, acknowledged it is, quote, managing workforce pressures, but declined to say how many people it is short. The organization traces its staffing challenges back to the pandemic, when air travel shut down and many controllers were laid off or took early retirement. Training classes were also disrupted. We are actively addressing staffing through a comprehensive multi-year strategy focused on recruitment, training, and retention, NAV Canada said in a statement. But getting new workers on the job takes time, up to 36 months. Canada's transportation minister says he is working with NAV Canada to address the shortage, reiterating that air travel in Canada remains safe.
We take every precautionary measure and make sure that Canada continues to perform at the highest levels of security.
And that security, along with the challenging nature of this job, is reflected in the numbers. Last year, NAV Canada says they had 49,000 applicants, hiring just 500 into their training program. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
Well, Harbour Air is launching 3 new routes in what the airline is calling its largest seasonal expansion ever. Service between Vancouver and Ucluelet will begin June 25th, and a new route linking Vancouver and Campbell River launches July 6th. The airline is also introducing its first Victoria-Seattle service on June 11th, while the popular Vancouver-Seattle route is returning April 13th. Harbour Air says the expansion will strengthen its network and give coastal BC travelers more ways to explore the region. Well, from supercars to mom vans, the Vancouver International Auto Show is putting rubber to the road for its 2026 debut. With affordability top of mind for Canadians, we're getting a closer look at what's in store at this year's showcase. Community host Mona Mahmood joins us now live from the Vancouver Convention Centre, and she's getting a closer look at the inside of a nice car, it looks like. Good morning, Mona.
That's right. Yeah, Carrie, we're doing more than getting a closer look. I'm actually driving it as I'm talking to you. And of course, I have my hands free in. And my friend Blair here is helping us out with the microphone. Now, we aren't just experiencing the Vancouver Auto Show. We're actually driving. We're checking out all the manufacturers. There's over 30 for folks to take in from today until Sunday. Now, Blair, you are with the New Car Dealers Association of BC. So this smell that I'm smelling right now, that's your life.
It's the new car smell.
It's incredible. So the auto show has truly evolved over its more than 100-year history. Now you're here at the Vancouver Convention Centre West. Talk to us a little bit about what folks can expect this year.
Well, we have over 300,000 square feet of vehicles, as you mentioned. 30 different manufacturers are here. In the ride and drive, EV ride and drive experience area, we have over 50 different vehicles, hybrids, full electric vehicles that everybody can test drive. If you've ever wondered if it's the thing for you, come down and get all your questions answered and take one for a spin.
Absolutely. Well, right now we're in the Cadillac Optic, which is also an electric vehicle. Why the decision to make all the test vehicles be electric vehicles? Is there a real push for that?
Well, we've been over, 15, almost 20 years doing ride and drives with electric vehicles. It's new technology. We wanted to make sure people had a chance to actually get in. We find that the experience for a consumer of test driving, it changes the conversation for them dramatically once they've seen how quiet they are and fun to drive.
Absolutely. There's a lot of momentum at the show. I can tell from the last 3 years that we've been here, it's expanded so much. The cars that you see are so cool. Some of them are one of a kind, never been in Canada before, and never will be in Canada again. There's a lot for consumers to take in, but there's also affordability at play right now, right? There's a lot of folks that are worried about how much they're spending, and if they need a new vehicle for their family, what can the auto show do for them in terms of questions they could ask, in terms of the comparisons?
Well, the advantage of the auto show is in one place, you get all these different vehicles with all of this new technology, all these different features, and we have a room full of people that can answer your questions. So you can sit and compare a whole bunch of different vehicles, sit in them, test them out, see if your phone will link with them, do all of those kinds of questions. It's a great one-stop shop for getting your questions answered about new vehicles.
Absolutely. Well, Blair, thank you so much for your time with us this morning. With more choices than ever, Carrie, I'm glad to be here, checking out my optic right now. And we're going to take it for a little spin after this, and then we'll be back next hour from the auto show.
In the meantime, just inching along there. Thanks for that, Mona. Looks like a lot of fun. And a honk yet. All right, Mona, thanks. Well, we have an update this morning on the border cat that hops back and forth between Canada and the U.S. Residents in the area are protective of this border hopping feline. We'll explain, still to come.
Donna, there you are.
Hi, what's going on?
Well, plus a mom who really embraces her new Ring camera. Your Thursday morning sidebar is still to come.
All right, 7:53, yes, on a Thursday morning, and we'll get some sun and cloud this morning, but the cloud builds in later this afternoon. That chance of showers goes up too, and then it'll be partly cloudy tonight with highs of about 9. If you take a look at the 5-day, tomorrow it's going to start off the same way, but it will get cloudier into the afternoon. Same thing for Saturday. Sunday looks like the showers come back, but then there's a chance of showers too on Monday. May get a few sunny breaks here too, there too. Yeah.
So Friday and Saturday look pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Not bad.
Not bad. We're going to go with
dry.
Not bad. That's the main thing.
For sure, yes.
We saw Mona down at the car show, so we've got your sidebars this morning. Time now for your sidebar. So most jobs are 8-hour shifts in a day, except this one. That is so accurate. Moms are on the clock all day long. Estelle shows that office jobs, government jobs, and service jobs all have a start and end time, but there is no rest for parents out there. So true.
Yeah. Is that mom's music? She takes it everywhere. It's like her walk-on music, right?
She needs it.
Absolutely. Well, from working parents to silly sisters.
Gangnam Style.
Yeah, you go, girls. Courtney and Morgan are showing off their dance moves as one super tall woman. They posted these bloopers to prove that they are, in fact, the ones dancing, and it's not AI.
That is so hilarious.
It's good, yeah.
It's funny to see it, though, because it looks, you have to kind of do a double take to, it's like, what am I looking at here?
Oh, my goodness.
Because it's the legs, right? Oh, that's so funny. We're going to try that someday. Don't you think that'd be funny?
That's right. Or shoot baskets like that.
Yes.
Or something, yeah.
Okay. Well, finally, here's one downside of getting your parent new technology.
Donna, there you are.
Hi, what's going on? Why don't you just call me?
Not when you're standing on my front porch. Donna.
Donna got her mom a Ring camera for Christmas, and while house sitting, realized that that was the only way that she chose to communicate. Every time her mom got a notification that Donna was at her house, she would talk through the camera at her. That's hilarious.
Never mind texting, never mind phoning.
So just standing outside on the porch having a full-on conversation.
Mom, you can come in if you want.
Or maybe just, we'll see you in person at some point. That's funny. And that is your sidebar this morning. So the seesaw at the gas pumps is continuing this morning. What to expect heading into the weekend as prices are once again on the rise. We'll have more on that ahead. Also, Canada is officially hitting a NATO defense spending target that was set more than a decade ago as Trump continues to criticize the alliance. What we're learning about a bump in funding. And a fire in Mount Pleasant has torn through one of Vancouver's oldest buildings. We'll take you there live after the break. Your top stories are next. We are tracking the damage done by a fire that broke out at a heritage home in Vancouver's Mount Pleasant neighborhood. We'll take you there live with the very latest. Also, after more than a decade of plodding progress, Canada finally hits the NATO spending target of 2% GDP. So what was the overall price tag? And it may be nearly April, but some very winter-like conditions have forced the closure of a stretch of the Coquihalla Highway. Everyone, it's Thursday, March 26th. Welcome to Your Morning Vancouver. I'm Carrie Adams. We begin in Vancouver's Mount Pleasant neighborhood, where a fire has torn through a prominent and very old building. Our Yasmin Gandam joins us now from near Broadway and Main Street with more. So Yasmin, the fire broke out last night in a building that is quite well known in the area. What can you tell us?
Good morning, Carrie. Yes, the fire broke out just after 8 p.m. Last night. We can now confirm that no patients were transported to hospital due to the fire. And as you mentioned, it happened at actually one of the oldest buildings in Vancouver, home to the old Depensier House, which was built in the 1890s. I do want to take you behind me here to some of the damage of the fire. Now, I did speak with a resident who said that it looks like the fire originated on the third floor, and you can actually see significant damage there. Take a listen here to some of the work crews were doing last night. Crews were busy dousing the burnt three-story building with water hoses as wispy white smoke poured out of the roof. You can see the upper portion of the house had blackened wood due to the fire. An Italian restaurant, Osteria Auto, was open just last year downstairs near the intersection of Broadway and Main Street. The fire also led to road closures in the area on Wednesday night, although those have now reopened. Now, we have reached out to Vancouver Fire for more information on this, and we'll keep you updated if we hear back from them. And now the resident that I spoke to also mentioned that power was out for most of the residents, 3-4 blocks down here. So significant, impacts to people in the area for sure. Carrie? And
just a shame about that old building as well. Yasmin Gandam joining us this morning. Thank you. Well, Canada has officially hit the NATO spending target of 2% GDP that it set in 2014. This is according to data in NATO's annual report that said Canada spent more than $60 billion on defense in 2025. In 2024, Canada was spending under 1.5 GDP on defense, one of 11 member nations that did not meet NATO obligations. U.S. President Donald Trump has repeatedly demanded that NATO partners significantly boost defense expenditures, as the Trump administration maintains that European allies should assume primary responsibility for defense of the continent. Well, if you're trying to head out of town, the Coquihalla is shut down in both directions this morning due to heavy snow on the highway. You can see the road backed up with trucks amid the snowy conditions. Southbound, the highway is closed due to a vehicle incident, but Drive BC says the closure northbound is due to non-compliant commercial vehicles at a mandatory chain-up location. Chains are mandatory for commercial vehicles heading north of Hope and Merritt. No word yet on when the highway will reopen. Well, it is another roller coaster ride at the gas pump here in BC and around the country. After a dip yesterday, prices have edged up again today. CTV's Scott Hurst joins us now live from Toronto with more on this. Good morning to you, Scott. So the war in Iran continues to drive fluctuations in gas and diesel prices. What happened overnight?
Carrie, good morning. You mentioned a roller coaster ride, and that really is the best way to describe it, as gas prices could be up one day and down the next. It really is a dizzying impact on so many consumers as we're seeing these wild swings due to the ongoing U.S.-Israeli war with Iran. And, of course, Vancouver often has the most expensive gas in the country. As you mentioned, there was a drop yesterday, and that saw some drivers making sure that they got to the gas station as quickly as possible to fill up their tanks with a relatively good price, but prices have gone up once again today. But on average, according to CAA, prices are still up some 35 to 40 cents per liter just over the past month. And of course, so much of this impacted by the uncertainty about the ongoing war in the Middle East. And even if there is a quick resolution, even if diplomacy can take over and there could be a resolution to this fighting, it might be some time before prices could stabilize. Here's more from one economist on the long-term impacts on prices.
But I think we're going to see the elevated price for quite some time, even if excursion, war, whatever Trump wants to call it, were to end fairly soon. We've had a lot of damage to the infrastructure, and there's going to be a lot of time before we're going to have the refineries producing and then shipping for home use. So this is going to last, maybe not higher, but at least at these elevated levels for months, if not even for 6 months.
It's not been easy for regular drivers, businesses impacted by these prices. The U.S. Postal Service says they will implement an 8% fuel surcharge on certain deliveries, Scott. Could this happen with delivery companies in this country?
Carrie, this really is just another way consumers are feeling the pinch. Of course, it was first directly impacting us with gas prices, but when businesses feel the pinch as well, ultimately the cost gets passed down the line to the consumer. So the U.S. Postal Service is seeking an 8% charge on some of its widely used shipping products pending regulatory approval. And if approved, that could go into effect later in April. Now, specifically here in Canada, fuel prices are also putting pressure on shipping costs. FedEx gave a statement to CTV News, and it says FedEx manages fluctuations in fuel prices through dynamic fuel surcharges, which is adjusted weekly in line with global fuel price movements. Canada Post on its website says it also is directly impacted by changes in fuel prices and applies a fuel surcharge on parcel services, and those also are updated weekly depending on prices, whether they are up or down. It changes as fuel prices can change as well weekly, Carrie. So just another example of how consumers are feeling the pinch with so much uncertainty about the war in Iran.
Yeah, I filled up my tank at 195.9 yesterday, Scott, after it dipped down. That was on the downside, and then, of course, it's back up today. Yeah, it doesn't feel like a deal to be had, even if the prices go down, up or down. Scott Hurst joining us from Toronto this morning. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Carrie.
Well, meanwhile, the federal energy minister says he is confident a new pipeline to the West Coast will be built. The comments come as Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has been pushing for a pipeline through BC and is looking for private sector energy partners to build it. Last year, Alberta and the federal government struck a deal on pursuing a new export pipeline. The memorandum of understanding includes specific deadlines to be reached by April 1st.
We have a series of discussions going on about another 1 million barrel pipeline to the West Coast, and we're heads down working on that, and we're confident we're going to get there.
Well, it's still government is talking about it. There's no proponent, and there's no one
who will pay for this, because you pay for pipelines by agreements with people who want to ship oil on those pipelines, and the cost of that would be so prohibitive, it doesn't make economic sense.
Ottawa has announced an agreement in principle with Alberta on methane emission reductions. It's one of the requirements as part of negotiations for a new pipeline. Well, the cost of transit in Metro Vancouver is about to rise. TransLink has approved a 5% fare hike starting July 1st. Adult fares will rise by up to 25 cents. So commuters will have to pay between $3.50 and $6.70 depending on the zone. Monthly passes will range from about $117 to $211. TransLink already increased fares by 4% last year, but says annual hikes will be closer to 2% starting in 2027. Well, the cost of renting a home in Metro Vancouver continues to decline. A new report has found the average rent for an unfurnished one-bedroom unit has gone down by nearly 11% year over year, which is about $245. The biggest drops were recorded in downtown Vancouver and in the West End. West Point Grey and UBC continue to have the highest rental rates in the region, averaging about $2,800 for a one-bedroom. You can get the most for your money out in Surrey and the Fraser Valley, where a one-bedroom in Newton averaged just under $1,500 a month. Well, how fast can you finish a puzzle? Probably not this fast.
It's one that I know I can do fast, so I've practiced it quite a lot in my lunch breaks at work for the last couple of weeks. So I was very lucky when this came out of the bag.
Well, people from across the country traveled to Alberta for the Canadian Jigsaw Association's regionals. Christy Williams finished a 500-piece puzzle in 29 minutes and 22 seconds. There were individual and team competitions with 200 people competing. You got to hope when they get to the end here that they don't have a missing piece.
Oh, can you imagine?
No.
That's right. What would that be like? They'd probably have a total meltdown. Right?
Well, but they are so fast. I mean, those puzzles look like they would be quite intricate as well. So good on them.
Yeah, and to know, just at the right moment or right second when this goes,
Yeah.
I don't even remember what I do with my car keys half the time. Never mind.
Life's a puzzle.
That's right. Still trying to figure. Once I'll figure out that life puzzle, then I'll get to the real puzzles. All right. Let's get a look at our weather. Good morning, by the way. We have some cloud at the moment. It's 4 degrees. So yeah, it stayed a little chilly this morning. Wind is picking up a little bit. It's out of the northeast at 13 kilometers an hour, and we'll see a little bit more cloud building in. And as we do, that chance of showers goes up too. Nothing too widespread, just isolated showers or pockets of them here and there. And then tomorrow morning we'll start off with another mix of sun and cloud, but then it clouds up as we get into the afternoon, and then it will be mainly cloudy, but a little sun coming out though for the weekend. Sun and cloud this morning, but it will cloud over with a chance of showers going up this afternoon. Our temperature is also going up to about 9 later on today. It'll be partly cloudy tonight, and then we'll get a few breaks in that cloud cover over the weekend too. We've got the 5-day forecast. Also talking about the situation on the Coquihalla Highway. That's coming up in about 10 minutes. Carrie.
Yeah, kind of nasty out there.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Well, coming up, new developments out of Japan. We have an update on Punch the Monkey, who went viral for his plush toy companion. You know this story. Well, turns out he has a new friend now. We'll have that just ahead. But first, they are one of the top teams in the MLS standings, but the Whitecaps are still facing questions about their future. How a former player is leading the fight to keep the Whitecaps in Vancouver. We're back in a moment.
Time now for this morning's Skywatch. Here's a live shot from Victoria's Inner Harbor. You can expect a really nice day there today. It'll be mostly sunny and a little warmer, but we'll see a little more cloud here on the mainland.
CTV Skywatch is brought to you by Kermac Collision and Autoglass, the name you'll remember when it matters. Kermac cares for kids.
Well, with the future of the Vancouver Whitecaps, a bit of a question mark. Calls to make sure Major League Soccer stays here are growing. Now a former player is stepping up, even launching a petition to save the Whitecaps. For more on this developing situation, we welcome in Rob Williams, a sports writer with the Daily Hive. Rob, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Unfortunate conversation we're having, because I think a lot of people would really hate to see the Whitecaps leave, but this is kind of the conversation we're having right now. And a former Whitecaps player, David Ousted, a former goalkeeper with the Whitecaps, I think he does youth development, soccer development in the interior now. He is really sounding the alarm about the team leaving. Tell us a little bit about what's going on here.
Yeah, so the Vancouver Whitecaps have been for sale for over a calendar year now. It's been crickets on somebody that's going to step up and buy the team. I think that the Whitecaps have effectively laid out the situation that their current situation at BC Place is untenable. They don't make money off the beer and hot dog sales. They can't sell the naming rights to the stadium and all sorts of other economic factors. So they've identified that they need a new stadium. The problem is the current owners are not wanting to build the new stadium. They're not willing to spend the money on it. So they need a new owner to not only buy the team, which has grown in value from $40 million, which is what the owners paid for it coming into Major League Soccer, to now Forbes values them at over $440 million.
Wow, that's quite a difference.
And then the cost of building the new stadium. They're talking about Hastings Park, but you know, right now I think we're waiting to see if someone can step up and do this. So it's very concerning.
Yeah, and David Ousted, this former goalkeeper, is one of the people who are really raising the alarm. I guess he has a petition. It's got a few thousand signatures already. Yep. Does having this kind of grassroots support make any difference when it comes down to it?
I mean, hopefully. I mean, we're talking about it on CTV now because of him. So it's raising awareness, certainly. You know, he's calling on local business leaders and local government to step up and spend the money and find a solution. The key is, like, we've got to find that person. I saw David tagged Ryan Reynolds on Instagram, so I don't know if Ryan Reynolds wants to get in on it. But you know, that's the type of thing that could potentially get the ball rolling here. But ultimately, you need a billionaire that likely has ties to Vancouver and likely has an interest in soccer. So it'd be great if that guy could come out.
Now is the time. If you're out there, now is the time to make this happen. So it really boils down, I mean, was there not a memorandum of understanding between the city and the Whitecaps to look at a potential soccer stadium? Correct. And that is still sort of just in that state where it's a memorandum of understanding and nothing has really developed since then? Correct.
So they've got an exclusive negotiation period through this year, and they're looking at the old Hastings race course spot. Would be a beautiful place for a new stadium. The key is wanting to have a soccer-specific stadium, one where the sight lines are perfect, where the seats go right down to the field, that's open air, view of the North Shore Mountains. It's a wonderful dream, but right now it's still a dream. Yeah. The irony in all of this is that Greg Kerfoot tried to build a stadium with his own money and was blocked by government over 20 years ago. They wanted to have a waterfront stadium.
It was Gastown.
Correct.
Gastown.
Yeah. Again, that was going to be another great idea as well. He was willing to spend the money, but it was blocked.
Never went anywhere. Just quickly before we let you go here, what would it mean if we lost the Vancouver Whitecaps? What would it mean for this city?
Be devastating. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that have really grown to love the team, myself included. You know, it would be, I mean, I remember when the Vancouver Grizzlies left town, we only had them for 6 years. The Whitecaps, we've had them in many different forms since the 1970s, but to lose them in Major League Soccer, particularly while the team has really become a powerhouse in the league. Thomas Muller has really changed things. So yeah, it'd be devastating to a lot of people in Vancouver.
Yeah. Rob Williams, sports writer for the Daily Hive, joining us this morning. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming in. Well, old age security payments are under the microscope as Canada's deficit grows.
I'd love to be part of a legacy that eliminated seniors' poverty and helped millennials and Gen Z.
Why a UBC professor is saying one tweak could save the country billions of dollars. Plus, how residents in the area are protective of this border cat that hops back and forth between Canada and the U.S. We'll explain, still to come.
right, welcome back to CTV Your Morning Vancouver at 8:22 on this Thursday morning, which is starting off a little bit of sun, but a little bit of cloud too, and still quite on the cool side. It's 4 degrees. It'll warm up a little bit more. The wind is not bad out of the northeast at 13 kilometers an hour. However, this is what we got to talk about, this snowfall warning and the Coquihalla Highway. Don't even think about going there between Hope and Merritt. It is right now closed. Both north and southbound lanes are closed down. That heavy snow we got to yesterday caused a lot of problems, and there's more on the way. 25 to 35 centimeters of snow, so I don't think it's going to be open anytime soon. We will see a little more cloud building in too, and you see these sort of areas of green, nothing too widespread, but there'll be isolated showers around the lower mainland. And then tomorrow, it'll start off with sun and cloud, and then cloud up again as the day goes on, and temperatures will get a little bit milder too, and we'll probably still see a little bit of sun by the weekend. Port Hardy will see showers today and 7. It'll be showers mixed at times with some wet flurries through Campbell River, Comox, through Nanaimo. Chance of showers as well. Showers for Port Alberni and out of Tofino. Victoria, you're in for a nice day. Now mainly sunny with highs of 9. Sunshine Coast, it'll be showers and 7 in Powell River and Sechelt. Chance of showers up through Squamish. Whistler will see a chance of flurries and 2 degrees there. Here for the lower mainland, we'll see more cloud. With that comes a chance of showers, and temperatures will get up to about 9 degrees. So that's close to average this time of year. Back up to 11 tomorrow and also Saturday with a mix of sun and cloud. More cloud, though, in the afternoon. We're looking at showers, though, on Sunday. Monday, a chance of showers and highs near 10. Carrie.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Well, an update now on Louis the Canadian cat, who has a habit of jumping the border and landing in the United States. Neighbors on Zero Avenue have put up a sign reminding drivers that this is Louis's turf and they need to slow down so he can cross safely. One side is South Surrey, the other is Blaine, and nobody is supposed to cross over, but Louis just doesn't care and ignores border guards by making illegal trips over the international line almost daily. Meanwhile, the man behind the cat's new sign and the figurine holding it, well, he's becoming well-known himself. CTV's St. Alexander reports.
Officially a workshop, but Bob Christie calls it the play zone.
Okay, I'll give a nice big smile.
Where buckets of wood pieces.
I'm just looking for a nose.
No two alike, but every one a gem.
We'll grab a set of eyeballs here. Try these eyeballs.
Bond to become stumpies.
I just have stumps or pieces of wood that I glue and screw together, that's it.
Far from it, they are now avid ski bums at the Triple Black Diamond Resort, adoring crowds and daredevils brought to life by what's been thrown to the ground.
Windstorms blow down, I pick stuff up and make these guys.
All of it inspired decades ago by a figurine Christie spotted on a vending machine.
It just burnt into my brain, this little wooden guy. Yeah. And I think I went, man, I could build one of those, I think.
Well, he proved himself right during the pandemic, creating a cast of hundreds, at first taking center stage in what he calls the secret garden.
It started just, okay, let's do different characters and let's make something else. Let's make a band.
The lead guitar player and his girlfriend, watched over by the stage manager. None of them with names because it just got too confusing, but each unquestionably with their own personalities. Now, his wife is wondering who's moving in next, and his kids, well, they're not so sure what's going on with Dad.
Well, because I put him around the yard, and it's kind of like, it's not, you don't do that.
For the most part, Christie doesn't sell any of his gang. They are his heart and soul, and has no plans to stop the village from growing.
I don't think I'll ever stop. As long as there's trees that blow down, I'm making stumpies.
As he puts it, throw on a set of eyes and a mouth, and it makes you smile. St. John Alexander, CTV News, Surrey.
Wow, he puts a lot of work into those little characters.
Yeah, but purely for the love of it, right? Because he doesn't want to sell them or anything like that. So.
I wonder if you could do any commissions. I mean, if someone really loved that work and they wanted to get one, I mean, surely he would take a payment. For
I'm sure somebody's tracking him down right now, too. So, yeah, nice he built that little structure for Louis to help him across the highway, right?
Yeah, that is very thoughtful.
I think Louis has a Nexus pass. That's what I think.
Just like free for all.
Yeah, that's right. Show us your neck. Meow. Here we go. There you go.
But bringing things back and forth over the border, like the odd rodent, I'm sure.
That's true, yeah.
Did you declare that?
Keep your receipts, Louis.
Yeah. All right, 8:27. Here's the view from Grouse Mountain. What is this beautiful winter wonderland up there? Some snow on the treetops there. It looks like a beautiful day, and even some snow on the lens. Wow, looks like a framed photo. Here now is a look at your top stories. Begin with a fire that has swept through a Vancouver heritage home, sending smoke into the night sky. Our Yasmin Gandam is on this story. She joins us not too far from Broadway and Main Street, just with the building in behind her there. So Yasmin, this happened at one of the oldest buildings in Vancouver. What can you tell us about last night's fire and the history of that building?
Good morning, Carrie. Well, just starting with some new information, we have received a confirmation from emergency services that no patients were transported to hospital in this fire. So that definitely is good news. It broke out just after 8 p.m. last night at the building behind me, a 3-story building. And as you mentioned, this is a heritage building, one of the oldest in Vancouver, home to the old Depensier House, which was built back in the 1890s. I want to take you behind me to take a look at some of the damage. I spoke with a resident who said it looks like the fire broke out on the 3rd floor, and you can see significant damage there. Take a listen here to some of the work crews were doing last night. Crews were busy dousing the burnt 3-story building with water hoses as wispy white smoke poured out of the roof. You can see the upper portion of the house had blackened wood due to the fire. An Italian restaurant, Osterio Auto, was open just last year downstairs near the intersection of Broadway and Main Street. The fire also led to road closures in the area on Wednesday night, although those have now reopened. Now, the resident I spoke to said he would be very surprised if this restaurant was able to open in the near future due to the significant water damage. Again, it did originate likely on the 3rd floor, but he said the water damage just from what the crews were doing, it went all the way down the block and was really significant. Again, we have reached out to Vancouver Fire as well for more details on this. Carrie?
Yeah, just a shame for that historic home and the businesses in it. Yasmin Gandam joining us live in Vancouver. Thank you. Well, gas prices are creeping back up today after short-lived relief. Prices are averaging around $2.08.9 a litre this morning. That's up about 3 cents from yesterday. Experts predict this seesaw ride at the pump will likely continue.
The markets are trying to digest what's happening in the Middle East, happening with potential talks between the U.S. and Iran. The president of the United States said to be losing his patience a bit, forcing or pushing for negotiators to find a deal. But we certainly could see a re-escalation, and that could push oil prices up or down, depending on what the situation looks like.
According to GasWizard.com, we could see another price drop tomorrow, but even with this up and down, prices will still remain way above where they've been in recent months. The continued fluctuation is being tied to the war in Iran and the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. Well, to New York City now, where the wreckage of the Air Canada plane that collided with a fire truck at LaGuardia Airport this week has been removed from the runway. Officials at LaGuardia say with the removal of both the plane and truck, they're reviewing the condition of the runway to make sure it meets FAA regulations. A spokesperson with the Port Authority hopes to have the runway reopened by tomorrow morning. Sunday's crash killed both pilots. Roughly 40 people were treated at area hospitals for a range of injuries. 4 remain in hospital. A passenger on the flight is describing what it was like to be on board.
All of a sudden, it was just this really loud bang, and everybody's head just basically hit the seat in front of them. And in that moment, it was chaos and panic. I mean, this plane immediately felt like there was no one in control.
Jack Cabot said he was one of the first to get off the plane using the emergency exit. And when he did, he saw the damage, and he says he felt lucky to be alive. Cabot says even though it was chaotic and scary, there was a sense of community among passengers, with everyone helping one another. Passengers are also praising the pilots, saying the brakes were hit suddenly when they landed, which they say likely ended up saving more lives. Well, Canada is set to pitch the idea of a new defense bank to the G7 today, urging them to join a plan aimed at providing critical financing for defense firms that struggle to access capital.
The capital available is going to depend on the number of countries that participate, and Canada is certainly advocating for more and more countries to come on board. And I will be presenting such an argument here at the G7 Foreign Ministers meeting.
Well, Canada has been leading the push in recent months for a defense and resilience bank as part of Prime Minister Mark Carney's efforts to boost cooperation between NATO members and other allies. Major European nations have yet to embrace the initiative. Supporters of Nicolas Maduro are protesting in New York ahead of the ousted Venezuelan president's expected court appearance today. It comes as he seeks to have his drug trafficking charges thrown out. Maduro and his wife have each pleaded not guilty to charges that include narco-terrorism conspiracy. They've asked a judge to dismiss the charges, arguing their inability to rely on public funds from Venezuela to cover their legal fees and that it's interfering with their right to choose their own lawyer. U.S. Special Forces captured Maduro and his wife in a raid in Caracas January 3rd and flew them to New York to face drug trafficking charges. Savannah Guthrie has made her first television appearance since the disappearance of her 84-year-old mother.
Someone needs to do the right thing. We are in agony.
In an emotional interview, the Today Show host appealed to those with information to come forward and help with the investigation into the disappearance of her mother, Nancy. Authorities believe Nancy was kidnapped from her Arizona home on February 1st. Well, Meta and Google are both planning to appeal after a jury decided they intentionally built addictive social media platforms.
We respectfully disagree with the verdict and will appeal.
There are so many families who've been tragically hurt through the addiction of social media.
The court found Meta and YouTube liable and negligent in this landmark trial. A young woman identified only as Kaylee was behind the first-of-its-kind lawsuit. She sued over her use of the social media platform, saying it led to anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts. The jury found the companies negligent for designing their apps to be addictive, awarding Kaylee millions of dollars in financial damages. The ruling comes one day after a New Mexico jury also found Meta liable and negligent for failing to safeguard users of its apps from child predators. We have a recall to tell you about involving milk that may contain pieces of glass. The recall covers some milk products sold under the Farmers, Naturel, and Kubon brands. These are 2-liter cartons on shelves across the country. The list of affected products is on the Canadian Food Inspection Agency website. The CFIA says it's investigating and more products could be added to this recall. Well, he went viral for toting a stuffed animal wherever he went, but now Punch the monkey has made a real friend. Officials at Japan's Ichikawa City Zoo confirmed the plushie was a comfort device of sorts for Punch, who was abandoned by his mom and then later bullied by his enclosure mates. But now the zoo says the 7-month-old is finally fitting in, hugging and playing with others. And he has been seen clinging to what the zoo calls his new best friend, another macaque monkey named Mo. Aw. Well, the Vancouver Canucks are back in action today, but their focus is purely on the future.
I just like the way we stuck with it and we pushed real hard.
Still to come, we're taking a look at what other teams Vancouver should emulate in a bid to climb back up in the standings. But first, the Vancouver International Auto Show is back at the Convention Centre, and we're going to have a live check-in with Mona as she takes in the sights and sounds of this major event. Stick around.
The Ringside Report, brought to you by
Capital Direct.ca. Let's make your vision a reality with Capital Direct. Call and talk to our team today.
Well, it was only a matter of time, but the Canucks are the first team to be officially eliminated from playoff contention, leaving many fans dreaming of a brighter future. CTV's Ben Milger looks at the key elements for a successful rebuild in this week's Ringside Report.
With an assist on this power play goal in the second period Tuesday night, Elias Pettersson collected his 500th National Hockey League point in just his 533rd game. The Mercurial star didn't have much to say about the achievement.
No, it's cool. Cool numbers to hit, and yeah, very honored.
It was the lone bright spot on a night when the Canucks fell 5-3 to the Anaheim Ducks. The NHL cellar dwellers still have just 8 home wins on the season. The team was back on the ice at Rogers Arena Wednesday morning to prep for a Thursday showdown with the Los Angeles Kings. Head coach Adam Foote working with the team's young players during practice, making sure a lost season in the standings doesn't drag down the effort on the ice.
We want to win every game, whether we're going to be in the playoffs or we're not in the playoffs, and prepping for, our jobs to win every night, but also, we want to play the right way and keep getting better for the start of next season.
The Canucks will enter next season in full-scale rebuild mode for the first time in a generation. It's not going to be a quick or simple task. If the Canucks need an example of how to do it right, they can look east to Montreal, where the Canadiens play an exciting brand of hockey and appear poised to make the playoffs 4 years removed from finishing last overall.
They've drafted really well, they've developed well, but they've also added pieces through trades, and I think that's sort of the blueprint that you have to look at.
Vancouver fans are about to find out if Canucks brass have what it takes to pull off a similar turnaround, and perhaps more importantly, whether ownership will give them the time to do it.
It's going to take a while, and I think that's the question is, do the Canucks have the patience necessary to do a rebuild properly?
Long-suffering Canucks fans sure hope so. Ben Milger, CTV News, Vancouver.
The Ringside Report, brought to you by Capital Direct.
CapitalDirect.ca.
Okay, yeah, Mark officially eliminated from the playoffs. So let that rebuild begin.
Oh, and people were, hoping, get in last place, first round pick. And all that. It's amazing what we grasp at when we've got nothing else to sort of look forward to, right?
Yeah.
But and I think it does affect the players too. So they just want to go out there and do their best. So.
Right, yeah, it does affect the whole city.
Yep, yeah, exactly. There'll be some changes coming up this summer, I would think. All right, let's get one more look at weather on this Thursday morning. It is still, some cloud building in, 4 degrees at the moment, so it's still a little on the cool side. It will warm up to about 9 later on today as we check our almanac, and our average around this time of year is 12. Last year we hit 14 on the state, and on the state in 1941 we set a record of 17 degrees at 7:34 is when sundown will be tonight too. We will see more cloud though building in this afternoon. With that chance of showers goes up. Nothing too extensive. You can see sort of pockets of green showing up, so there'll be the odd shower or two. And then tomorrow we'll start off with a mix of sun and cloud, and then it'll cloud up again into the afternoon, and we'll get some sunny breaks and some breaks in through the evening. So across the south coast today, showers in Port Hardy, showers mixed at times with some wet flurries through Campbell River, Comox. It's showers for Nanaimo, also in Port Alberni, out of Tofino today. Mostly sunny day in Victoria. You got a nice day today with highs of 9. Sunshine Coast, you'll get some chance of showers too. 7 degrees in Powell River and Seychelles, 7 up through Squamish with showers. Whistler will see a chance of flurries. And then for Metro Vancouver and the Valley, we're looking at more cloud with a chance of showers and temperatures going up to about 9 degrees. Here's our 5-day. So we've got that mix of sun and cloud through tomorrow and also Saturday. And then Sunday, look for the showers to come back and a chance of showers back on Monday.
From private island escapes to some of the best family entertainment in the industry, our next guest is helping us see the world in style without breaking the bank. Ian Patterson from MSC Cruises joins us now. Good morning to you, Ian.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me, Mona.
Thanks so much for being here. So, Ian, let's jump right in, or dive right in, I should say. What makes MSC Cruises stand out?
Well, we're a global brand, international brand based in Geneva, Switzerland. We're family owned and operated. Right now we have 23 vessels. We're the third largest cruise line in the world. 23 vessels with more ships coming, one more this year, one next year, and years beyond that. The real thing that makes us different is that we are the global brand in cruise. So we go to 300 destinations around the world. We visit 100 countries. We have vessels that will go, we have vessels in North America, vessels in the Mediterranean, in Northern Europe, and other places around the world. And also, we're positioning, for the Canadian market, we're positioning 2 vessels in the Southern Caribbean, both last winter and also for next winter.
Right. What about MSC Cruises appeals to the Canadian audience?
Well, Canadians want 3 things: comfort, convenience, and culture. And we offer all three on all our vessels. And the other things that Canadians need, they need to get to cruise ships. They need to fly.
Yeah.
So we have a flying cruise program that we take care of the air for the guests. We guarantee them to the port. We guarantee them to the next port of call if there's a delay, if the weather's bad or something like that. And so we always know where the Canadians are at any given time, and we make sure that we get to their cruise.
Absolutely. For folks thinking about maybe taking their first cruise this year, why should they be choosing MSC Cruises?
Several reasons. First of all, for first-time cruisers, as I said earlier, we're a family company. Kids are number one for us. So we have 5 kids clubs.
Okay.
And they're all age appropriate. And it's quite often we find from our guests that it's very hard to get the kids out of the kids club.
Right.
Because, kids have a way of communicating, sometimes better than us adults. So I think it's been resonating with the feedback we're getting from Canadian guests on board that the kids clubs are something that is very, very special.
I bet.
For adults only, we have, of course, our exclusive MSC Yacht Club, which is our ship within a ship concept.
Okay.
24-hour concierge, 24-hour butler service.
Wow.
That you can turn your bed down.
Yeah.
You get what newspaper do you want, what pillows. They know everything about you within the first day of you coming on board the ship.
That's pretty incredible. Ian, really quickly here, we only have a few seconds left. What warm weather itinerary should Canadians have on their radar?
As I said earlier, we have a ship in Martinique and Guadeloupe, which you can fly to from Vancouver and Victoria with our air. We're introducing a ship in La Romana, Dominican Republic for next winter. It will be year-round, and also we will be providing air for people for guests from British Columbia.
Incredible. Well, thank you so much for your time with us
Thank
this
you very
morning.
much.
If folks want to find out more about MSC Cruises, they can head to their local Expedia Cruises office all around the Lower Mainland. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you very much, Mona.
Well, thank you both from setting records underwater to diving into the job market in a different way. How a Courtney woman taught big celebrities before supporting first responders, coming up in the Sawatsky sign-off. And we're going to check back in with Mona live at the Vancouver International Auto Show. We're back in a moment. Well, start your engines. The Vancouver International Auto Show is back with jaw-dropping supercars, collector vehicles, and test drive experiences. Community host Mona McMood joins us live with a closer look at what car enthusiasts and families in the market can expect from this year's show. Mona.
Yes, Carrie, it's been a very cool morning here at the Vancouver Auto Show at the Vancouver Convention Center West. There are more than 200 vehicles in this space right now, but only one of a kind in the world behind me. This is the Chevrolet CX. It's a hypercar. It's got 4 electric engines. Like I said, it's the only one in the world, and it's pretty cool that it's right here in our own backyard. And here to tell us more about it is Eric, who's the executive director of the show. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Eric, this must be a really cool experience, even for someone like you who's been in this industry for a long time. Tell us how unique this car is.
To describe how one-off this is, you can't do it. This is a one-of-one in the world concept vehicle. It is 2 production models of head. The Corvettes are now currently in the C8. Okay. CX stands for 10. Yes. We have a complete concept car designed after the inspiration from fighter jets. 4 quad electric motors, 2,000 horsepower, puts you at about a 7-second quarter mile.
So compare that to Canada's top-selling vehicle, which is the Honda Civic. What's the comparison there?
Honda Civics will probably have anywhere between 130, 160 horsepower versus 2,000.
2,000. To explain how unique it is, we can't even touch it.
No, we're not allowed to get. This is it. We're roped off. This is as close as any Canadian will ever get to this vehicle.
Pretty incredible. So you got to come to the show through Sunday to get this close to it. Now, Eric, there's a lot going on during the show. Speaking of fast cars, you actually have someone here from the Fast and Furious franchise who's causing lineups out the door. There was a lineup when I got here at 6 a.m.
Absolutely. So we like to do and create cool, unique features here at the Auto Show, and we have Sung Kang on site today. Sung is notoriously known as Han from the Fast and Furious franchise in Tokyo Drift.
incredible stuff. So he's going to be here signing autographs, meeting fans.
Absolutely.
Really, really cool. He's going to be on the show floor. We might even meet him while we're here today. Eric, I've had such a great time with you this morning. Thank you again for having us back at the Auto Show.
Thanks for coming. You're welcome every year.
Yes, thanks so much. Okay, well, spring break is almost done, but there's still a chance to get out of town, come visit the Vancouver Auto Show here at the Vancouver Convention Center West. And Carrie, I'm excited to walk around the show floor when this is done because there's just so much to see. More than 200 cars.
Oh, wow. So many things to see. And some of you can sit in, obviously some you can't. Thanks, Mona.
That's right.
Enjoy the rest of your morning. Good to have you down there. Okay, 8:51. Old age security payments are under the microscope as Canada's deficit grows. A UBC professor is now calling on Ottawa to adjust the threshold in the hopes that it can save the country billions. CTV's Craig Krause reports.
A UBC professor may have a tool to chip away at Canada's projected $78 billion deficit.
When OAS is just so much bigger than everything else, we have to go and then say maybe this is a place to find savings right now.
Old age security, something Paul Kershaw says could save the country billions if adjusted.
Does it make sense to send these large $18,000 subsidies to retired couples that have six-figure incomes when we're struggling to maintain other programs?
Right now, retired couples with an income of $185,000 can receive the full annual subsidy, leading Kershaw and Research Co. to put out a poll to see what Canadians think about it. And what they found was 3/4 support OAS being reduced below $100,000, including 3 in 4 who are retirement age.
I think that you could cut it off after a certain wage level.
My income was higher, and so I didn't feel like I needed it. So I declined it.
The data shows changes to OAS is bipartisan. Roughly 8 in 10 Liberal, Conservative, and NDP voters told Research Co. they are in favor of making OAS responsible, modern, and fair. You find Canadians who were against any sort of adjustment?
Very low. It's about 10%.
The research also found a majority would go further, supporting a phase-out of OAS benefits beginning at or below $81,000, the same number as the Canada Child Care Benefit. Kershaw says this would save Canada nearly $13 billion annually.
That's a huge amount of savings.
The Department of Finance won't say if it's making adjustments, instead saying it will continue advancing its affordability agenda to ensure seniors have the support they need. In the meantime, Kershaw will remain vocal.
I'd love to be part of a legacy that eliminated seniors' poverty and helped millennials and Gen Z, have an easier time with the really substantial affordability challenges they've inherited.
Craig Crow, CTV News, Vancouver.
Interesting. We'll watch that story.
Yeah, exactly. I'm coming up close to it, so don't mess with it right now, please.
Okay. Well, she has set records underwater, worked on movie projects, and even taught a thing or two to Tom Cruise. Then motherhood and the pandemic inspired a BC freediver to dive back into the job market. Adam explains in this morning's Encore Sawatsky sign-off.
For as long as Mandy Ray Kroc can recall, the water has inspired wonder.
I just absolutely loved being underwater.
Although she grew up nowhere near the ocean, the discovery of a school library book about scuba diving was a life changer.
I'm like, there you go. I'm going to be a dive instructor.
After graduating, Mandy moved to the West Coast to teach before being introduced to free diving.
And it clicked, and animals approach you more readily. The world opened up.
And thanks to a competitive spirit, strong work ethic, and innate talent, Mandy ended up setting more than 7 world records, free diving down 136 meters. That's deeper than the height of a 43-story building.
And you're like, wow, I'm at world record depth. And then you're like, okay, got to get up. And you snap back to reality, and you start making your way back up because you're only halfway there.
Mandy's accomplishments under the sea led her to work on multiple movie projects up on the screen, like playing a pivotal role in the Oscar-winning documentary The Cove and teaching stars like Tom Cruise for this scene in Mission Impossible.
He was an amazing student. He picks up stuff like that.
But after taking time to raise her daughter, Mandy sold her business and found herself looking for a new career during the pandemic.
It was frightening to try to get back into the job market.
Employers seemed reluctant to hire a 47-year-old without a diploma, until Mandy happened upon a posting for a job that required the sort of skills you can't teach, like stepping up and staying calm during dangerous situations.
They were able to see what I could bring to the table and not dock me for being old.
And after a few years as a 911 police dispatcher, Mandy says it's proving to be just as satisfying as her work under the water.
Freediving, it was opening somebody up to the possibilities of what they can achieve. In this, it was the idea that I could make a significant difference in someone's life by bettering the outcome of a situation.
And whether you're training to be the world's best or striving to make your community safer, Mandy Ray says the key is to dive deep.
If you have a thought and you want to try something, you go full into it and it'll happen.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Courtney.
Wow, isn't that incredible advice?
Oh, I know, yeah.
Dive deep.
And it still blows my mind that people are able to do that. You know,
actually go that deep.
Single breath, wow.
Yeah, and way to go that she's a 911 dispatcher now. Well, that's all the time we have. I was going to move on to the next script where we're done.
You're done.
See you tomorrow. Enjoy your Thursday.